Hey, everybody. Welcome to Comic Book Curation. I'm Polly, and joining me, as always, is Inquisitor. Quiz, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. I got an Imperial Knight, and I've been spending most of my time getting home building it.
All right, he's being a man baby. And joining us from the comic reviews is Jack. Jack, are you man babying over there?
Hey, Polly,
Probably.
go fuck yourself.
No, listen, painting miniature Revolutionary War soldiers is refined and cool. Playing with fantasy mini war soldiers is childish. See the difference?
No, because that's adult material. Thank you. We are all producing adult content.
Yeah, no shit.
Yes, YouTube.
And FTC, we are producing adult content.
Yeah, fuck kids, am I right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, fucking.
Never get you put on a different kind of list, Polly.
Fuck in the figurative sense of.
Oh, okay.
Forget about kids, am I right?
There you go.
Does Inquisitor really always join you? I don't believe we have ever done a stream where all three of us weren't here. Did that ever happen once?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
One day that train's gonna get quiz, but other than that, it hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't happened yet. There's been one day where I dropped because Comcast is a piece of shit, but I came back.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So I can actually say up until now, Quiz has always joined us, and rounding out our triumvirate of awesome has always been the same guy, Jack. So yeah, there you go. The triumvirate has always been here. The Pop Tart says that we're neither of us are adults. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Adults are boring, am I right? Bunch of boomers.
Yeah.
So stuff and things happen. Oh, wait a minute. I got a thumbnail. Last week I didn't have a thumbnail, but I got one this week. It's simple but effective.
It's Rachel.
It is. Thanks for spoiling it before I brought it up, you bastard.
It's on the tweet, you motherfucker.
Well, still. Maybe they didn't see it. Here we go. It's
well, I didn't say Rachel from what? They could think it's Rachel Summers. How about that, huh?
It could have been Rachel from Friends. No one knows.
Could have been Rachel Summers. You have a thing for her.
I do. I went with this Rachel because she's really comic booky there. I think this is, in my opinion, clearly done in digital art. You can tell by the way her hair's been done. Not that it's not very well done. I think it was traced off of the picture of the actress, and then they free-handed it afterwards to give her like big Disney anime looking eyes. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you think they rotoscoped it?
Yes. I think they traced it off of the original image and then went and had their fun from there, because her nose is made much smaller and her eyes are made much bigger to kind of give her Disney anime face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why Blade Runner yet again? Because it's Blade Runner month, and I can only do it for so much longer. I might be able to get away with next Wednesday. Is next Wednesday still in November?
Yes.
I don't know. Sure.
Yeah. In case you didn't know, November 2019 is Blade Runner month. That's the year in the distant future that Blade Runner was set. So I'm having fun with it being Blade Runner month.
The distant future of 2019.
That's right. Where's my flying car? That's the question.
Where's my hoverboard? Where's my flying car? Where's my I don't know. What other techno-futuristic thing did they think we would have in the 80s?
Well,
self-lacing shoes. There you go.
Yeah. Well, there are a number of things that they predicted accurately. Where's the Los Angeles overwash and illegal immigrants? Oh, wait. I got that right. Let's see. Where's the dystopian-esque depressed populace that walks around staring at their electronic devices instead of talking? Oh, wait a minute. We do have that. Let's see. Where's the isolated sexuality that largely takes place through cyberspace? Oh shit, we have that too. Damn. The future is now.
I don't have VR chat yet. Cut me some slack.
Well, that's why we got Streamlabs.
Right. And speaking of Streamlabs, you can find all of our links below, and they are now all linked up to what do you call them? Pop-up notifications. What all sorts of fun comic book imagery and things of the kind and like. Good time. Let me get that off.
Only your Streamlabs is down there, Polly.
Are you serious?
Yeah, when we get donations, it doesn't pop up. It's only yours.
No, I
No,
realize
no,
that, but
in the description, you finally put our channel links in, but you didn't put our Streamlabs.
jeez, why did you tell me before now?
I just noticed when you said that.
Fuck. All right, well, I'm sure Jack and Inquisitor will be putting their Streamlabs in chat. But my Streamlabs at least down there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, self-interest. You know how that
Yeah,
is.
we see where the priorities lie.
Don't be judgmental. I don't know what. I kind of know my Streamlabs off by heart because it's simply polydubblive at streamlabs.com. Let's see. Where do we want to begin?
Now he's shilling it live on air. Oh my god. Okay, shill. Franco.
Well, don't get angry over it. Shit. Faxes are everywhere. Avocado says, "You know the fax machine predates the telephone."
Really?
Yeah. It's just
I did not.
why would you want to send a document? What good is that? What use is that? And then so just everyone kind of forgot about it because all you're really sending is a bunch of telegraph signals, right? It's not nearly as complex as sending a voice. You just need to send a radio signal that to hit ink or not, and then it does it by lines like a fax machine does. That tech predates voice communication. Surprise.
Excuse me.
Where do we want to start today? We've got so many. Well, you know what? Tom Lyle died, which is sad. I actually don't have a lot of experience with his work. Like I know, Scarlet Spider, and that's about it. That I know him for. Do you know him from anything else?
Yeah, he was big in the 90s. He worked with Chuck Dixon on the Bat books a lot.
Okay.
He helped create the Spoiler, one of the Batman Robin sidekicks. He did a lot of the Robin books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a real talented guy. It's a real loss.
Yeah, and look who's gonna fucking be there to replace him. Am I right? Bunch of wokeness. Right.
Yeah, it's real sad the way he passed too, because he had an aneurysm, and when they from a blood clot, and when they tried to fix it, he ended up in a medically induced coma.
Jesus.
And he just died. And that was like a couple months ago, so I recall.
Yeah, so I was reading that article too. He had retired from actually actively doing comic books and was a teacher at an art institute.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's just give this article a little read then. Artist Tom Lyle has died at the age of 66, as confirmed by the Savannah College of Art and Design. There you go. Lyle is known for drawing 3 Robin limited series alongside writer Chuck Dixon, as well as co-creating Stephanie Brown / Spoiler for DC, and for designing Scarlet Spider's hoodie and tights costume for Marvel Comics. In recent years, Lyle has served as a professor and internship coordinator at SCAD, the aforementioned Savannah College of Art and Design. In October, he underwent surgery to remove a blood clot in his brain following an aneurysm that resulted in a medically induced coma. Longtime Spider-Man writer Dan Slott mourned Lyle on Twitter. Yeah, I'll bet he did. That's sad. Lyle is survived by his wife Sue. So, like, no kids? Oh man, that's rough.
Yeah, he was only 66, so
yeah, that's
not old.
That's way too young to die, man.
Yeah.
But that's fucking tragic. I thought I'd start with that before we became a bunch of assholes over like Star Wars and other, meaningless stuff, relatively speaking, you know what I mean?
Yeah, his family has a GoFundMe to help with medical expenses. I'll find the link and throw it in there in a minute. Because that's, he's a real talented guy, and they have a lot of medical bills.
Yeah.
So what we have here is another audio issue. All You Need says that he can't hear anything. Chat, is that true? Are the volumes too low? Is it just on Jack and Quiz, or on myself, or all three? You tell me, and then I can adjust accordingly. Because according to my ear and according to the OBS, whatchamacallit, volume levels, it should be fucking fine. But I totally believe you that it couldn't be, because you can't adjust anything according to OBS, man. It's like disinformation staring at those audio levels. I don't know. What do you guys want to do? You want to start off like heavy duty? Do you want to start off with some bullshit that's been going on? Do you want to start off with stairwares news? What do you think?
Let's go with some bullshit.
Some bullshit. All right. Oh, you know what? I've got some good bullshit.
You just pull up the Mary Sue. There's plenty of it.
Actually, I don't have a single Mary Sue article this week. And it's, I wasn't trying to avoid them, just nothing came up. Maybe there's something going on over there. I'm willing to bet that they're still complaining about ideological stuff based in feminism and using pop culture as a means to push their ideology. Random guess, I know, but...
I was going to say, there's that one about Charlie's Angels, where the author of it didn't even go see the movie herself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You fucking believe that? I mean, I do believe it, but it's just, come on.
She's there talking about how important it is for women to go see this movie, and it's important that women. And then she's like, I'll go see it when it's on demand.
She could.
I question your convictions, Jessica.
If you even did that, like, let's say you did that for real, why would you tell everybody? Don't you realize how that undermines your credibility? But
no, I don't think they do. They're that dumb.
Like, fuck, keep that shit to yourself if you actually did that. So,
well, they're too busy trying to sound pseudo-intellectual that they don't realize that it's what's in between the lines when she says stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, you know Santa Amanat's thing of, excuse me, Marvel becoming a lifestyle brand, right?
Yes.
And most of it being like, what the hell does that even mean? Here's a good example of that. This is from CBR. Method Man headlines Marvel's Voices anthology one-shot comic. Like Method Man from Wu-Tang.
Is
Method
that guy
Man.
still relevant?
No, he's not. I mean, if you're a fan of Wu-Tang, I guess he is. But like, why do you have an MC? Like, what does that headline even mean? The comic is called Voices. Like, I've read this article and I still can't make any. I guess I've kind of made sense of it, but it's first of all, it's not well written. But the problem is that the whole push itself makes very little sense because it's all part of Marvel's lifestyle brand. So we're going to have podcasts that also have comic books that go along with them that are partially related to what's happening in the podcast.
That's so dumb.
Like, it's just confusing, right? What are you guys talking about? I don't know. This is Sana Amanat's idea for, we are a multimedia platform and we are a lifestyle brand. All things Marvel at all times. And it's like, yeah, but this is... Anyway. So here...
That is so of the minute, because if you're not listening to the podcast and then reading the comic will make no sense in 2 months.
But the comic is not really related to what's happening on the podcast. Like, listen, you'll see what I mean. See if you can make more sense of it than I was able to. Marvel's popular podcast series. Okay, don't everyone break their X keys at once. Marvel's Voices. So the podcast is called Marvel's Voices. Is set to further highlight some of the comic book industry's top storytellers with the release of Marvel's Voices #1. So that's Marvel's Voices #1 is also the name of the comic book. Okay. The comic will be a one-shot anthology written and drawn by a talented crop of writers and artists, including writers and artists of Vita Allah, Roxanne Gay, Brian Stelfreeze, and Wu-Tang's Method Man.
Why?
Like, so he's writing a comic? Is that like it's an anthology, so it's a series of it's a collection of small stories and Method Man wrote one? Is that what you're trying to tell me here?
Why?
Yeah, the anthology will have new stories for the X-Men, focusing on events that take place in the wake of the House of Pox. It will also see the return of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
God.
I can't even say it without choking up. It will also see the return of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur and stories featuring some of Marvel's most notable characters, such as Hulk, Wolverine, Black Panther, Killmonger, She-Hulk, Black Widow, and Ant-Man. What? Those are not... Okay, Wolverine, yes. Black Panther, yes. Killmonger, She-Hulk, Black Widow, and Ant-Man? Nobody really cares about those who buy Marvel Comics.
Those are the characters that they're pushing for the new Disney series.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's
lifestyle brand.
That's exactly what stood out to me. The only thing you're missing here is a Moon Knight to it, and you would have covered all of your Disney Plus bases. And I mean, what
is desperate.
Yeah. Who and who, Mustafa says. Exactly. It's like, who are some of their top talent? And it's like, who are these people? So here's Marvel's voices, which is just weird to say. Why don't you just say Marvel voices or Marvel's voice? Like, anyway, there's the cover of it.
The voice of Marvel.
Yeah. So, editor Chris Robinson said in a totally shill statement that I won't read because Jesus fucking Christ. You know what? I will read it. Fuck it. I'm absolutely thrilled and honored to oversee this historic #1 issue celebrating the characters and creators that make up the grand mosaic that is the Marvel Universe, reflecting life as we live it, not just the world outside our windows, but the fantastic worlds of heart and culture inside those other windows too.
Wow.
A
Like,
historic
what?
first. Like every other historic first.
Well, like, okay, I don't know where to start with that. I mean, that's some gobbledygook, like
Bullshit.
original, like, or like it's a prospectus. Like just saying positive thing, positive thing, positive thing. It's historic.
Yeah.
Like, what does any of that mean? Like, and you had to bring up the world outside your window thing. Stan Lee's dead. Let him rest, for God's sake. Quit using his saying to promote your crap, guys.
They will never stop milking Stan Lee for money.
No.
For those of you who don't know, that's a saying that Stan Lee has. Like, why is Marvel Comics so popular? And in reference to Peter Parker being a teenager who had girl troubles and other things that are of that sort, right? It's the world outside your window, meaning it's very, quote, reality based. Now, him being Spider-Man is obviously not reality based, but the idea that he had girl troubles is, that he was in high school was, that sort of thing. And in current year, they have taken that to mean, well, change every straight white male character to something other than that. It's the world outside your window, because that's what you see outside your window. Like, okay, I guess,
Oh shit, they're coming for me.
Yeah. So now get this. This is where they try and all sew it together. So you tell me if this makes sense. Marvel's Voices is a podcast series dedicated to telling the stories of diverse creators within the industry, sharing their unique perspective and experience.
Within the industry? What does Method Man have to do with the industry? If anything, he is an outsider of the industry.
But he's diverse, meaning not white, because that's what diverse means. When they say that, they mean not white. And largely not male, but he's not white, so it's fine.
But it says creators. He's not a creator. He's a rapist.
Or is he?
But they didn't say. This is how badly this is written, because up here it says, like, the comic will be a one-shot anthology written and drawn by a talented crop of artists and writers, including Method Man. So he either drew something or wrote something. And so
maybe he wrote one of the stories in there. I mean, they are getting Zoe Quinn. Why not step up to has-been rap stars?
Yeah. And it's
I would rather have Method Man than Zoe Quinn.
Oh, hey, yeah, hands down, but still.
And have included celebrity fans talking about all things Marvel. Celebrity fans. Okay, listen, take your fucking YouTube shills, take Comic Storian, and all go fuck yourselves. Nobody listens to your stupid fucking podcast more than anybody watches Marvel TV to see your cooking tips. Nobody cares. No, but seriously, am I wrong?
No.
I completely forgotten. I'd blocked that out of my head, Polly. Thanks for returning that little fact to me.
And no, I'm not kidding about that. Marvel TV is full of them doing, like, Iron Man cookies, Black Widow cake, and it's just like, what?
Yeah, I don't want to watch fat people cooking. I'm sorry. It's dumb. It's weird.
And it's like, the podcast new season launches February 2020. Marvel's Voices #1 is in stores this February. So they're both called Marvel's Voices. This one-shot comic you're attempting to promote and the podcast that seem related but not. And is Method Man on the podcast, or is he writing just the comic? See, what the fuck? This is what happens when you let Sana Amanat make decisions. I don't even understand. So there's that.
I think
story.
it's just yet another poorly executed thing that Marvel's doing that's not going to work. and will just serve to alienate the fan base further. Because they're going for some weird random phantom audience. It's not even like a particular group. This whole lifestyle brand thing is very ill conceived.
It is horribly well conceived. And, interestingly, Number One Nowhere asks, like, didn't 13 Chambers...
Not well conceived, ill conceived.
All right. Number One Nowhere says, didn't 13 Chambers get a comic? Yes, it did. And as did Bobby Digital, RZA's solo album. Who's Wu-Tang's producer and also an MC himself. Get a comic book. And the cover was very comic booky looking to that album, Bobby Digital. Wu-Tang has had a long-standing sort of association with comics. Other rap groups have used comic book covers for stuff. Public Enemy did once. I remember that very clearly. They brought in Mark Texiera to do all the art for the cover and the interior of the album and stuff, and it was really cool. That still doesn't help this make any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there have been a lot of weird comic book crossovers in the music industry. There was Silver Surfer was on an album cover, Wolverine was on an album cover, and
Silver
a lot of
Surfer was
people
on a
cross
really
promote.
good album cover, which was "Surfing with the Alien" by Joe Satriani.
Yeah, one of the death metal bands had Wolverine, and it had a mini comic inside the CD case. But some of these cross promotions are just really poorly done because they did those when the comic industry was a lot stronger. Now they're just throwing money in the garbage.
This is just chasing that. This is their big. Can you imagine the executive meeting where these ideas as part of a larger whole was pushed out? Sana Amanat sitting at the head of the table going, okay, guys, today we're unveiling and the PowerPoint screen lights up, Marvel as a lifestyle brand. And everybody kind of like their eyes kind of get wider where they're like, oh my God, this is her idea. This is what happens when you hire executives with no experience whatsoever, but have been historically denied a voice because of their skin color and gender. And it's like, yeah, but couldn't you find someone who actually knows what they're doing that's also of that gender and complexion? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like just hire Christopher Priest back and let him write whatever he wants. It'll be 1,000 times better than the trash you're dumping out on us now.
It's like, okay, Pop-Tart says, I like Umbrella Academy and it's made by a musician. Yeah, I'm not saying there shouldn't be crossover between music and comics. It
just has to make some sort of logical sense.
Yeah, like this is them rolling it out, and it's like Method Man is in this comic, and it's like, how is he a writer? Is he an artist? Is he on the podcast? None of that was made clear, and I think it's deliberate. It's part of the grand overall, just all things Marvel in your life. You know what I mean? Marvel is a lifestyle brand to blur all of those things. It's not just a boy brand anymore. It's not a girl brand. It's a lifestyle brand. Whatever that means. So, cook the Marvel way.
Hi, this is Kyle.
That was a throwback. Did everybody get that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we were just gonna let it go.
Well, I wasn't. Okay.
Yeah, like Wolverine's gumbo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
God, that's so funny.
Why didn't they? Yeah, I remember we were making a big deal. Like, you would have to have like Wolverine's what? Poutine? Yeah. It would have to be something Canadian. Why would you go with Cajun?
He's not even Acadian.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, I could give a pass for that if he was Acadian, but he's not.
Yeah, he's northern Alberta, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what the hell? Like, it would have to be something like Western.
Something
like,
moose based.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be moose steaks and beans. Like, cause I don't know. Alberta's got that old Western cowboy thing working, I guess. I don't know. Raw moose. He's a Wolverine. Raw, rotting moose. There
you go.
And I will be back in just a second. Quiz. You're going to listen to Jack because he's in charge. Ha!
Oh.
Okay. See what I did there? That's called a reversal of expectations.
Yeah, mistakes were made.
I'll be right back.
You're supposed to admit to it while he's still around, Jack.
Well, better late than never, I guess. So what kind of food would you attribute to Jubilee?
Wontons. Probably something spicy too, because she's a spicy.
I was gonna go with lemon meringue pie.
Well, you have to think of more of her character than just her
No, you
colors.
don't, because otherwise something would have made sense with any of this.
No, yeah, true. Okay, I guess.
So you got to pick something weird and that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, oh, today we are having a Thanos themed candy corn. What? Yeah,
Thanos
unicorn
themed.
toast. Good one. No one nowhere.
Yeah, there you go. They could go all well. You know, there was the pilot of the X-Men that had Wolverine as an Australian. You could have him make fairy bread.
Well, we know it's not going to be emu meat.
Well, do you not know what fairy bread is?
No, and I'm pretty sure I probably don't want to know.
Oh, too bad. You're gonna learn. This is something that Australians do. I know because I have to constantly bring this up every time we discuss it. But what they do is they take plain white bread, right, and
Okay.
they spread on butter, and then on top of the butter on the white bread, they put sprinkles.
The hell are you two
Huh.
talking about?
But they're not sprinkles in Australia. They're hundreds of thousands.
Oh God, I feared this is what you were
Hundreds
talking
of
about.
Thousands. What?
Yeah, hundreds of thousands of what? Hundreds of thousands of bits of fucking just. You know what they call them in the?
That is what I always say, Jack. Is hundreds and thousands of what?
Yeah, they call them jimmies in certain places of the north of the Midwest. Who cares? They do.
Jimmies?
Jimmies.
That's code for condom from the 80s.
Yeah.
Well, Jimmy
It's a
Hat
Jimmy
is.
hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was interchangeable, Jimmy or Jimmy Hat. But now, hundreds of thousands, that's a fragment sentence. You can't leave that dangling out
Exactly. Exactly.
I can't believe you guys are arguing about this again. I can't believe it.
I've never heard, I think I may have heard the phrase fairy toast in passing, but kind of just tuned out because it's what I do.
Bread. Yeah.
Fairy bread, whatever. But I thought it was some kind of gay slur, and I was just going to not be a part of it.
I love how I love how Gilcotto and Ozzy. It's like, no,
he said it's a brand name.
Yeah.
Thank you, Evolved Potato. Hundreds and thousands is a brand name.
Sure it is, but it's like Kleenex. You know what I mean? Like it's just become like the thing. They think of them as, you know. But Gilcotto gets all specific with it and is like, they are small spheres, not sprinkles, which are little sticks. The Aussies, who consider anything that's sugary and gelatinous to be jam. There's no distinction between jelly, jam, marmalade, nothing of the kind. It's all just jam.
And everything that is potato and fried in some way, or chips.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if it come in a bag or the hot sticks fried in oil. It's chips and hot chips but now all of a sudden there's specificity required. That's great.
We joke, but we do love Australians because they are awesome.
Of course.
But
they just speak an inferior version of English, and it's fine.
It's all that criminality. Thieves can't disguised as English.
There you go.
Did you guys hear about this?
Probably not. I don't know what this is.
Marvel stealth cancels Loki series after 5 issues.
Is anyone surprised by that? I'm not.
I wasn't particularly interested in it because I read the prospectus on it. You know, this is where we're gonna go with the series, and I'm like, I'm really interested in Asgardian lore as like, you know, the 9 realms and very magical and all that stuff. That's cool to me, so I'd be interested in that. But this was definitely not that, and so I didn't read it. And then the next thing I hear it's starting, and then I hear it's canceled. Today's release of Loki #5 by Marvel Comics is the final issue of the series. While Marvel Comics didn't announce the title was starring the Trickster God was canceled, writer Daniel Kibblesmith confirmed it in the issue 5 letters page. Yeah, that's stealth, all right. Can you imagine just, you know, you're reading this Loki series you're digging or whatever, and you start reading the letters page, and it's like, by the way, this is the last one, peace. Kibble Smith responded to questions in the letters section of the comic by revealing in the 5th issue that it would be the last. When asked if an incarnation of Lady Loki would ever appear in the series, Kibble Smith replies that he sees Loki as gender fluid, as well as morally fluid.
God.
Yes. Well, letting the reader know that the goddess would not be appearing, as he is closing up shop on this nook of the House of Ideas. All right. And there it is.
Closing up shop on the House of Ideas is Marvel's bread and butter.
Yeah.
Foreclosure, more like.
So in another...
They just need some hundreds of thousands, and then they can be fairy bread.
In another letter, Kibble Smith thanks the reader for supporting Loki in both single issues and trades, along with promoting local comic book shops. Quote, "Thank you for supporting the comic in single issues, and thank you to everyone who buys the comics monthly," Kibble Smith said, "especially from local retailers, as that is the surest way to keep the series from getting the axe." Well, not in this case. Right, and that's it. But that leads directly into this article on CBR, and it's an exclusive. Loki.
Oh, of course.
How the Marvel Asgardian god became a female. Oh, and yeah, this is bad news to follow. One of the most highly anticipated Marvel shows coming up on Disney Plus is Loki. The newest announcements of the series revealed that Sophia Di Martino will co-lead the series, potentially as the female version of Loki. Because, you know, we have to do it. We have to. Because, you know, the whammon, right? The rumors that Sophia Di Martino will be playing the female version of Loki were taking a look back now at how the Asgardian god of mischief has a history.
Hold
on. I thought I was misreading this. I'm going to read this very slowly over again. With the rumors Sophia will be playing the female version of Loki, we're taking a look back at how the Asgardian god of mischief has a history of alternating genders in the main comic book Marvel universe, and how that might inform the future of the character in the MCU.
Saying it again doesn't make it make sense.
Jesus Christ. And it's, who wrote this? Brandon Zachary, and it's a CBR exclusive. Well, you failed.
See me after class, Brandon.
Right. During the events of, at one time, he's a woman. Anyway, enough with that story. How many times have we covered this idea? Huh? It's at CBR is justifying. It's like, okay, well, there's going to be like yet another character is being gender flipped or ethnicity flipped. Yet again. But this is them coming out saying it's fine because it happened in canon once. Wait a minute. Whenever we bring up that's not canon, you say, fuck you, canon shouldn't be a straitjacket. We can move on progressively, you know. But wait a minute. When it works to your advantage, you bring it up and say it did happen in canon. It's almost like you guys are completely fucking full of shit or something.
Almost.
Yeah. It's almost like
silly.
It's almost like all of your talking points are just in service of promoting your progressive use of the media to promote your worldview or something.
Well, superheroes get butts in seats, and is a good way to push the social justice message.
It is. It is. It's very useful in that regard.
It's been a while since we referenced that one. We had to bring it back.
I got a good one. And Quiz, you're going to have to remain calm during this, okay?
No.
Well, I'm going to need your word on that.
I will try.
Yeah. You ready for this? It's good.
Probably not.
All right, here we go. Activist Hulk takes down toxic capitalism in Immortal Hulk number 27.
What?
I'll read it again. I'm not even making this up. It'll appear on your screen in like whatever the delay is, 15 seconds or so, right?
That's only the title, Quiz. Hang on.
Yeah. Activist Hulk takes down toxic capitalism in Immortal Hulk number 27.
Dude, I've been of the opinion that making the Hulk intelligent again was one of the worst ideas that Marvel has ever had. Now he's an activist?
So you know Roxxon Corporation, right?
No.
Roxxon? No? Okay. It's been a
Yeah,
Marvel.
they used the chemicals that created Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Tony Stark was like, you know, their corporate competitor for a long time. Spider-Man doing various investigations into super criminals would find out Roxxon was it. There's sort of like a general purpose imaginary Marvel evil corporation that's involved in all
Yeah.
sorts of nefarious weapons dealings and stuff like that. They're a
Yeah,
bad.
they're like the go-to stereotypical big corporate bad guys.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And it's like where the bad guys buy their weapons, their super weapons from. Frosted glasses. Hulk smash the bourgeoisie. So they make in this comic Roxxon like as the Roxxon as the bad guys. And so anyway. Now, this is the thing that kills me. This is written by none other than Rich Johnston. Okay. And it
What?
I know.
What?
I know. And Rich Johnston is just I mean, he's a social justice warrior full on. I know people are sick of hearing SJW, but whatever, man. The guy checks all the boxes. What do you want from me? You ready for this quiz? This is the full and complete second paragraph. This is Immortal Hulk, established in the series, as if there was any doubt, as Marvel's activist comic book. A blatantly anti-capitalist agenda as laid down by the series' protagonists, Bruce Banner and the Hulk. It tells the story from three perspectives, that of the Hulk, Dario Agger, who's the CEO of Roxxon, right? He's also a Minotaur. That,
You know, because you would.
But, well, you know, it's a comic book, right? Like the head of the corporation is like a mutant, you know, like a mutagen, not a X gene mutant, but like a, you know,
mutate.
Yeah, mutate. Yeah. And he's a Minotaur. So it's fine.
Well,
moving on, you know, it's.
Well, no, hold on. We got to take this to the next obvious interpretive level. A minotaur is half bull, and a bull is always associated with hypermasculinity in the Greeks' tales of the minotaur.
Okay.
And the stock market.
Or the
Really?
So
The stock
yeah.
the stock market in ancient Greece, really?
No, the bull market.
Oh, right. Yeah. Good
Bull
call.
and bear.
Good call. Good call. I didn't.
So
Yeah.
obviously, this is potentially a metaphor they're going for.
So there's two paragraphs that make up this story. There's the first one where Rich Johnston just kind of explains what I said. Names the character of the Hulk, Dario Agger, the CEO. He's an anti-capitalist. He smashes the structure. It's all rather meta. This is the second paragraph, and this is the part that I wanted to focus on. The second paragraph is also the last paragraph, and this is where he ends his article. Get this. You ready? It has been observed that the free market, capitalism, encourages companies to think in the short term, and that while economic collapse can be the result of mass thinking in that direction, recession can be very good in the long term for well-placed firms who come out in any subsequent recovery in a far better market position than they entered the crash, with a greater market share, a greater entrenchment in the system, and the chance to do it all over again. Recession may not be played for, but might as well be. And in Immortal Hulk 27, that is the aim of Roxxon, who are not aiming just for economic collapse, but environmental collapse as well. End of article.
And then the toxic crusaders come in and save the day.
Like,
did he just advocate for a fucking recession?
No. He's saying companies will push. Okay, it all starts with, it has been observed that. By who? You? Because what you just described is evil, nefarious corporations will actually push for a recession. Because then when it happens, they have a bunch of capital. They buy up land and wealth and other commodities at pennies on the dollar because of the recession. And then when the recession is over with, they're in a much stronger position than when it started. Yeah, that's some super Freemasonry, Illuminati level conspiracy shit. Did you know that before September 11th, a bunch of investments went into reconstruction firms and into cleanup organizations, and divestment incurred occurred from airlines. And so, yeah, I know. And that's why I'm reading this on some small corner of the internet blog. Do you know what I mean? Like, Jack, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Oh yeah, I understand the conspiracy theory quite well, but the reptilians are real.
and Epstein
Look,
didn't kill himself.
Well, that's an obvious one. But that's not even a conspiracy. That's just a fact.
My point being is that Rich Johnston uses the entire second paragraph, one half of his article, to talk about evil capitalism based upon some wingnut conspiracy theory of how evil corporations force recessions to happen for their own benefit. It has been observed that. By who? Wackos on YouTube?
No, he's just trying to get by the fact that the Hulk book is a total SJW lecture book.
Yep.
Which I read one issue and figured that out. And some people still haven't grasped the concept that the book is just moralizing and finger wagging. It's well written for what it is, but it's just an SJW chick track.
I agree, because when I read, like, the idea of a Minotaur as CEO and of Roxxon, I'm not opposed to this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is great comic book fare right here. You know what I'm talking about? Like, this is it's like Tiger Wilde being the head of Wild Industries in Spider-Man or in Iron Man 2099. In Doom 2099. And like, he's a half robot guy who's got like a tiger motif to his armor and et cetera, and his name is Tiger Wilde. It's all very comic booky. It's awesome, in other words. Like, I'm not opposed to this. And what he says right here, the Minotaur, weaponry. It's the coming resource wars. People will need everything from assault rifles to magical super soldiers. Maybe we'll even sell a politician or two. Bought off the rack. Our own homegrown, our own kind of people. The masses like strength in their leaders. Like, it's just so mwahaha Bond villainy. This is great. But it's being used, like Jack said, as like nonstop moralizing. Like, this is what's really going on in the real world, kids. You know? Dr. No isn't real, guys. You know? It's
Yeah, he is. He's usually in the chat.
Okay. Fine.
Don't deny his humanity.
Scaramanga isn't real, and there's no such organization as Spectre. Is that better?
You have no evidence of
this. Is Goldfinger real?
Well, Goldfinger's real, yeah. You didn't hear about that time that Fort Knox got irradiated so Goldfinger could raise the value of his own stock?
It's coming back to me, you know.
It's coming back to me.
It's a right-wing talking point there, Polly.
What makes me wonder about this, because this is happening in the Hulk, and the Hulk has become, you know, as the headline makes clear, you know, he's going to smash the bourgeoisie and go after the evil imperialist pigs that run the capitalist system.
And they would make it Bruce Banner, not the Korean one?
Yeah, Bruce Banner's back, but now he's lecture Hulk.
But this is what I mean. Like, what the hell happened? Did what's his name?
I don't know. I need more than that to work with.
The moronic Femi SJW from the MCU that actually identifies so much with the Hulk he thinks he can speak on his behalf. What's his name? We've named like 8 episodes after him. What's his name?
Mark Ruffalo?
Mark Ruffalo. Like, what is Mark Ruffalo fucking consulting on this series? Well, Hulk needs to be an activist like me. You know.
Yeah, you would think so because it's that level. But no, this is just how everything is now.
So I did hop down to the comments section because it said 5 comments and I wanted to see. And it's like, we're going to need to see some Bernie as Hulk fan art stat, please. I love the idea of Bernie as a fucking activist Hulk. Then Luis Philippe Olvera Champion says, is there a non-toxic capitalism?
Modern Marvel, everyone.
What?
Well, that's
bleeding cool.
That's bleeding cool.
But then,
there's the difference.
But one guy at the bottom says that it posts the shit post that I was hoping that somebody did. This anti-corporate manifesto brought to you by the Walt Disney Company.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The hypocrisy knows no bounds.
Love it. That's actually a good question. Frosted Glass asks. Well, an interesting idea I hadn't thought of. Shouldn't a Russian character like Colossus be pulling this commie shit? I'm surprised that they don't have Colossus talking a bunch of pro-Soviet shit. You know,
they
Well,
can't
he-
because
he
he's
immigrated.
What'd you say, Quiz?
He immigrated to
Yeah,
the
but-
United States. He's no longer a Russian nationalist.
Well, even then,
Wait,
you couldn't have him do it because Russia's the bad guys now. Remember, Russia.
no, but Russians are the good. See, but I mean, there's an inherent, disconnect that is somehow kept isolated in these people's minds. We should be looking to socialist systems and communism is humane, etc. But Russia at the same time.
Yeah, so you could have it like a Venezuelan doing that, but you couldn't have a Russian doing it.
I don't know. I think that they should just absolutely go full retard and have Pyotr Rasputin talk about, I think Stalin's gotten a bad rap over the years. I want to see it. Go full nuts.
Give them time. They're working hard to get to that goal.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, gentlemen. Would you like the next story to be about somebody's ongoing descent into insanity?
About Mark Wade?
No. Close. Very close. But no. Someone's descent into ongoing descent into insanity. Something unrelated to comics, but hilarious. It's kind of related to comics because it's like online stuff and it's comedic, so therefore in my mind it fits. But hilarious. Or something also unrelated to comics that's hilarious but doesn't make any sense at all. And can be used to play comic book video games, therefore related to comics.
I say pick one of the tangential ones, then we'll divert back to comics and then back to the tangent.
Okay.
How's that?
I like it. This one's not tangential, but whatever.
Oh my God, just pick one.
All right. Okay. Okay. Got it. Do you know why we're never going to do very well as a stream, gentlemen? Well, this Twitch IRL streamer can explain it, because over here on Pounding Into Comics is an article I couldn't resist. Twitch IRL streamer, Parably, reveals the obvious truth about how she gets views. Are you ready for?
Whipped her titties out?
Are you ready for the hot quote? Because it's all summed up in one line. I got nothing for this article except for the one line. You ready?
Okay.
This is so good. I try to lure everyone with my big thighs so they can come and watch my Fortnite skills. That's it. Got nothing else.
Well, brutal honesty. You get points, honey.
Oh my God.
I don't know what to say to that other than thank you for the honesty.
I mean, you got people like Assassin of the Grey saying today, Polly. Yeah, I know. I was trying to justify it lamely. I'm like, how can I make this relate to comics? I can't, but I had to show this. I gotta get people somehow, she says. I try to lure everyone with my big thighs so they can come watch my Fortnite skills.
Oh, they'll be coming, all right.
Fortnite skills.
This is why we'll never have a massive fucking audience. We'll have the wonderful audience we do, and we appreciate every last one of you. By the way, hit the like button if you haven't already, and feel free to retweet the tweet out on Twitter so other people can come by.
Subscribe to our channels.
Absolutely. They're all found in the description, and feel free to support the show through donating to Streamlabs if you're so inclined. However, we have no big thighs to offer you, unfortunately.
Aww.
All right, Polly, you got to show your thighs on camera occasionally.
Yeah, you gotta bite the bullet for us, Polly.
Well, are you going to wear a cute little camouflage onesie like this girl is, showing off your tremendous thighs and ass?
If you really want me to, but nobody wants to see that.
Oh, man.
I'm
actually
kind of curious now. I kind of want to see it. I don't have the stream pulled up.
Oh well, it should be on the screen right now. It's been sitting on the same image here for a bit.
Yeah, she's all right looking. Those thighs are a little fat for me, but
yeah, I mean, you're not into the badunkadunk, but it
not really, no. But overall, I mean, she's a pretty good looking girl. I can see why she's getting a lot of money, and good for her. I mean, if you got no sort of real world talent, you might as well whore out your body for money from random desperate nerds online.
Now,
I
hold on.
guess that's a thing.
It says read it correctly. Well, hold on. Quote, you know I gotta get people somehow, end quote. Open quote. I try to lure everyone with my big thighs, comma, so they can come watch my Fortnite skills, end quote. That's exact what? How did I misread it? It doesn't get more blunt than that. That's exactly what she said, according to Founding into Comics. And I mean, I don't know why they would lie about it. You could do it once and create a new cursed image. Yeah, no. I'm not putting Jack up in a camouflage onesie, no matter how many fucking views it brings.
That ain't gonna bring any views.
That's the cursed image to get people to donate in Noir Bar.
I think it would more turn people to stone. They'd be like, "Get that hairy, fat old man off my screen."
That reminds me of the Clash of the Titans from 1981 when they're fighting Medusa and she can turn everyone to stone. Fuck, that movie was awesome, Jack.
Fuck yeah, it was. That's an awesome movie. Everybody should own a copy of that.
Yeah, it just quizzed and chat. Just Jack and I had talked about this on some stream. I don't remember which I drank. Just a little while ago, I just watched Clash of the Titans again, like a week ago. Fucking just great movie. Chad, if you hadn't seen it, it's just a barrel of fun. Get some popcorn and watch that movie. It's so fun.
It doesn't take itself seriously, and it's a good all ages movie. Like, I saw that in the theater when I was in like first grade, and man, that was great. We loved that movie. It's got action, adventure, swordplay, gorgons, giant scorpions.
Fucking right. And Calabas, he's a mean prince, basically, that does a bunch of evil shit. He hunted down Zeus's prized winged stallions. Only Pegasus survived, so Zeus strikes him down by making him ugly and mutated with a tail and horns and shit. And he's so great in the makeup, like it's corny in a really awesome way.
Like Assassin pointed out, it's Ray Harryhausen doing the minis, so it's all stop motion.
Oh man,
because this is pre-green screen. Oh man, it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's got the original Release the Kraken and the miniature of the Kraken destroying the city of Argos, and the miniatures, like the stop motion animation of the scorpions that you mentioned, Jack, fighting, and the stop motion of Medusa with her bow and arrow. Fucking awesome. Fuck CGI, man. That's way more fun than anything CGI can produce, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just it's like the Sinbad movies. Yeah, they're a little cheesy, but they're fun.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a good story. It's a fun adventure story, and you just don't see that anymore.
It reminds you, watch a movie like that and you remember it. It's memorable. I remember this scene when this happened and that happened, and this was so bad it looked so fake when, and then other stuff, right? But you get to the end of something like Independence Day Resurrection or Resurgence. I remember when the lights came up in the theater and the credits started rolling, my friend turned to me and he goes, I don't remember anything that happened in that movie. And I'm like,
because your brain just shuts off.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm so bored.
I remember Stripper Mom dying in that film. I remember them flying around in super futuristic jets. And I remember Jeff Goldblum was in it. That's it. Other than that, and Brent Spiner was back. Other than that, I saw that movie and I couldn't remember anything 15 minutes after it was over.
Wait. Brent Spiner?
Yeah.
Didn't he get his neck broken in the first one?
They retconned it that he was in a coma the whole time.
Yeah. Okay. The remake of Clash of the Titans and its subsequent sequel, Wrath of the Titans, the special effects were pretty good, but it was so poorly edited and the story was so thin. Like, it was some of the worst remakes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And they had an all-star cast and it still was a garbage movie.
Wait a minute. Jack Gunsky says it had a robotic owl for the lame nerds. Hey, Boo Boo, the mechanical owl was cool. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was for the kids. Because, I mean, that movie, nowadays, parents are going to be like, I can't let my kids see that. It's got gore and blood. Back then, that was a PG-rated movie.
And titties.
And you were like, it's fun for the whole family.
There's titties.
Yeah, and, a little goofy little robot owl, that's for the kids.
Yeah.
and the boobies are for the rest of us.
I mean, it's
So-
only a quick scene, but this was back in 1981 before everyone was a fucking prude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was in a super.
Yeah,
It was in a super quick scene where she's nursing baby Perseus. But holy shit, she was stacked. That girl, man. Damn.
No, that was ahead of its time because just pretend she was in Walmart.
Yeah. And say, Vault Potato said you just got your copy of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Fuck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I just left this image up for the. Well, we're randomly going off on a tangential topic. We might as well have the hot babe on screen. And Eve just showed up and said, "Who's that?" Eve. Just the quote deserves repeating. This is a girl who's an IRL streamer, and this is her quote. "I try to lure everyone with my big thighs so they can come watch my Fortnite skills. Love it. Love it." It's and that is all. That's the only reason she's up there.
It's honest.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. Is that it's honesty.
Okay, so I'll ask you this. We'll jump right into it instead of holding it off. Is this more or less tangential from our core topic than the last article? Okay. Also from Bounding into Comics, but I couldn't resist. Google promotes gender neutral controller as Stadia's selling point. I couldn't resist. How am I supposed to resist that?
Wait, does the controller not have a penis or a vagina?
Well,
I don't understand what you're telling me here.
The controller is made smaller, so people with tiny little doll hands like Far can hold on to it. And it's also in a color that's neutral, namely attractive to everyone across the gender spectrum. They call it the Wasabi Controller. Why? I don't know.
Because it's spicy. I don't know. That thing's fucking ugly looking.
Yeah, you see it now?
Yeah.
And it's like, is it because the bottom part of the, what are they called? The toggle controllers, whatever the fuck, is kind of green? So that's where they get the name Wasabi from? I don't get it.
They wanted something vaguely Asian.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. So, I mean, here's the article. In the lead up to the launch of Google's new Stadia console, members of the Stadia team promoted the gender-neutral quality of the system's controller as a selling point for the flagship hardware. In an interview with CNN Business, Google VP and head of Stadia, Phil Harrison, boasted that the Stadia controller's design was different from, quote, some of our historical competitors in the console space, who have been a bit more masculine and a bit more mechanical in their approach. The controller is offered in 3 different colors, white, black, and a light green wasabi color, chosen for its universal appeal, according to Google director Isabel Olsen, who found that, quote, both men and women gravitated towards this color.
They'd be like, what the fuck is that? No, Far brings up a good question. She says, aren't they all gender neutral? No, keep your filthy girl hands off my penis controller.
Yes. And this will be the last thing about this article, but it just sums it up so well. This is, again, Isabel Olsen, the Google director of design. Quote, she praised the fact that it ended up being super gender neutral, but still really expressive. It's really hard to find colors like that.
So you all heard it here first, folks. Jack is perfectly fine with a woman not touching his penis controller.
Not my penis, the penis controller.
Oh.
I just love that an executive who's working for Google and likely paid obscene amounts of money just used the phrase super gender neutral.
It's like super gender neutral.
Oh, all right. Hello, fellow
Ryan
kids.
Walters brings up a good point. They messed up because the controller has a huge thigh gap. It's clearly a woman.
It does kind of, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got a little port there, tiny little Asian port right between the big thigh gap.
And I thought the same thing with the wasabi stuff. They wanted something quasi-Asian, and it's like, if your wasabi is that pale, there's something wrong with it. Like, even if it's natural wasabi, not like green food colored horseradish like we tend to get, you know what I mean? It's not that like that's like morning mint colored or whatever the fuck. I don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the 2 articles I had nothing to do with nothing. But can you understand why I didn't resist? Fat thigh girl that exposes for the sake of you seeing her Fortnite, and controller that makes no goddamn sense. to do it.
I mean, I will watch. I will see her Fortnite if she's exposing it to me. But
Nice. Nice. Oh, so I have. Did you guys go to the comic shop this week? I forgot to ask before we went live.
No, I've been busy.
Yeah, fair enough. Quiz, did you make it by?
no.
You know, when you walk in to your comic book shop, Quiz, it's going to be like a zombie situation.
Yeah.
Jesus
You'd be like,
Christ.
holy shit, you're alive.
Holy shit, was that horn blow loud?
Well, the train is also shocked that I'm alive.
I suspect that train is actually your roommate. And he thinks he's a train. He identifies as a train, so he has a train whistle. And he just walks by your door knowing you're streaming, going, choo choo.
Can we call the Shang-Chi movie quasi-Asian? Is that hentai? What's
I have
Shang-Chi?
no idea. I have no
Master
idea.
Kung Fu, the movie
No.
they're making from Marvel.
Oh!
Their character,
Oh!
Shang-Chi.
Really?
Is that hentai? Jesus.
Well, you know our audience. They're quite familiar with tentacle hentai. They are. It's true. We don't judge you.
We do not have Kurt Eichenwald for our audience. All right.
You don't know that.
So
Well, if we do, Kurt, leave.
I did.
Nah, I got no issue with Kurt. He's a viewer.
I did swing by the comic book shop, and yeah, I know I brag on this stuff all the time, and it's related to Japan, so it fits into what we were talking about. It's a nice. Usagi Yojimbo #6 came out this week, and I just threw it up on screen. Stan Sakai is so fucking good at what he does. So this is the 35th anniversary of Usagi. That's why I definitely wanted to talk about it this year, 35th anniversary. So what does he do for issue #6 in celebration of the 35th anniversary? He does a throwback to the first Usagi Yojimbo story. The Goblin of, I don't know how to pronounce it, the Goblin of Japanese name. You know, it's like, Aishi Aishi, you know, like, I don't know. It's a place name.
That wasn't Japanese at all.
But the story is, it was a short, like, I think 6-10 page story originally, 35 years ago. So he takes it and expands it to a full story and tells more detail of it. And the extra detail is told as a flashback of Usagi arriving there in the present day, flashing back to the first time he went there. How clever is that? It's
good storytelling.
Yeah, it's and here it is, just some kind of looks at it. And of course, the new IDW Usagi series is all color, which is brand new for Usagi. Usually it was entirely black and white, but Stan Sakai decided to go all color for this new series. And it's awesome because it's great throwback to classic Usagi lore. And you don't need at all to have read the original one. It's just a great fun comic. And whenever a comic I actually like comes out, I get super excited about it. So when I saw that Usagi #6 was out and this is what he decided to do for 35th anniversary, I was, yeah, man, totally happy. So there's that. And also Excalibur #2 came out. And there it is. And they the artist, Toe, kind of retooled Captain Britain's costume a little bit. And I like it. You can see it there on the cover. When it comes up on your guys' screen, you'll see it, of course. And they still have the X-Men in it, like Rogue, Jubilee, and Gambit, and Apocalypse. So I don't know, man. Jack, what do you think that they're actually going to have them stay as Excalibur? That'd be a weird choice, don't you think?
I think they're gonna. I think this is the lineup for now.
Like, those are, like, Rogue and Gambit? Those are fucking A-list X-Men. I mean, one of the things that everybody made fun of the original Excalibur back in the day is that it was B-series mutants. Like, you know, Nightcrawler, who gives a fuck. Rachel Summers Phoenix, who gives a fuck. That's what people say. And Kitty Pryde, who gives a fuck. And I'm like, those are
forgetting the key character in there, Dazzler.
What do you mean?
You didn't mention Dazzler.
She wasn't in the original Excalibur.
She was.
No, she wasn't.
Yeah, she was in like from like issue 15 on.
No, she wasn't. Are we talking about Britain Excalibur here?
Yeah.
No. Furious typing ensues. Usually I associate that with Inquisitor, not you. Interesting. All right. Well, in any case, Jack's going to find out who's right and wrong here. And in the meantime, yeah, I dig the new costume. It's, I'm oddly optimistic about this. I read through it, and if I start telling you what happens in it, it's going to be like pure spoiler, so I don't want to ruin it for anyone who's going to read in it. I think that that's kind of a bold choice to put both Gambit and Rogue, that are like hot, beloved characters, over in Britain. That's a weird call. I wouldn't have expected them to do that, but okay, I'm listening, if you know what I mean.
There's precedent for Gambit to at least hang out in Britain.
Also,
There's several comics where he went over there. There was like a one series where Gambit was like a secret agent tasked with certain espionage things by the government, and he did a lot of his foreign spying in England. There was also the Wolverine Gambit crossover issue series. It was a 5-issue miniseries that took place entirely in England.
trying to find a really good shot of her new costume. Yeah, I think it's, I'll just go back here. There it is. Like, I don't know, Jack, if you haven't seen it, I mean, there's Betsy Braddock, the new Captain Britain's new costume. I dig it. I think it looks really fucking cool. And she has, so get this, you know how Quiz, especially you will know, Psylocke with her psychic knife, right? She's like Captain Britain, right? So she needs like the sword Excalibur and a shield, and there's psychic manifestations that are like pink psychic energy, like her psychic knife. I'm like, nice. Okay. All right.
Yeah, behind that.
It's she's got a psychic sword and shield as the new Captain Britain. I'm digging this. I just think that it's the worry, right? Put A-list characters in it to get people excited, and then put them back in the series that you originally intended to have them in. It's like an early hype that they're not going to continue on with. I've got that concern. Yeah. And
I get it.
And why isn't it a more like, okay, I get why Kitty Pryde, Shadowcat, she's a leader of the X-Men. To have her suddenly over in Britain again as a junior member of the new Excalibur team would be weird. I get why they can't bring her back, but they're doing nothing with Rachel Summers. Why didn't they put her back in England?
No, she's on the main book. She's on the X-Men book. I was wrong. Dazzler was in the new Excalibur team. See, when you said Excalibur, I was thinking of the wrong series.
Oh, okay.
So she was on the 2005 team.
Yeah, okay. I didn't even bother with that entire series. I'm completely unknowledgeable about it because it's like the new Excalibur, and it seems like you're just kind of taking that label and putting it on something that's not the thing at all, which makes me, yawn.
Yeah. After like 30 years, all the titles run together.
Yeah. And like Functional says, Captain Britain is a woman and Apocalypse is a hero. He's kind of working. Apocalypse is, he's still a villain, but he's forced to work with them because of the events of House of X or House of 10, whatever, and Powers of 10. In the aftermath, that he's unwillingly working with them because he kind of has to. And yeah, like you said, it's Psylocke. Yeah, it's Betsy Braddock in her non-Japanese version, still with her psychic powers. So she's Captain Britain's sister. Why wouldn't she be the new Captain Britain? That softens the blow of making a male character suddenly female. In this case, it's almost like good storytelling or something,
It has a logic to it, but I'm afraid they're going to try and make it permanent. Just because of girl power. I don't trust Marvel is all it is.
What are they going to do with Brian Braddock becomes the question for me. And
they'll either make him evil or kill him.
Well, because you can't have him be Captain Britain as well. He could be one.
Nope. There's only one medallion.
Yes, but as he visited other, the cross-time caper that happened in Excalibur where they visited all the alternative Earths, and there were, of course, a bunch of Captain Britons because there's a protector of the British Isles in every dimension, right? And there's only one for this one. But they found out there could be multiples as well. So he took on the identity of Captain Marshall for a while, an alternative Captain Britain. So, but I mean, who wants that? It'll be like Wonder Twin powers Britishly activate. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to see.
No, they'll be like, crumpet powers activate.
You see what I mean? Like, you don't want a brother and sister Captain Britain's team. That would be dumb. But I don't want to see Brian Braddock written right out of it because he's cool. So what the hell are they going to do?
Those white pages they use on the X books are all dumb, but they're still doing that. It's never stopped them before.
Oh, yeah. I just skipped over them. I mean, here they are, chat. These are the white pages that Jack and I detest. And everyone detests so much. They're just so dumb.
It's a waste of money. They're charging you for pages that have like 3 things of text on them.
Yeah.
It's stupid and it's insulting to the buyer.
It does throw back this storyline. I'm liking it because they're clearly reading back into the lore of Excalibur with the lighthouse. Now it's a linchpin across all of the universes, and that's how Merlin the Magician gets his power by blah, 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 blah. All this heavy-duty comic lore. They're working the lighthouse that Excalibur uses as their home base back into it for that reason. And it's like, it's almost like they read the canon or something.
Maybe one of the siblings will Brexit. Good one, Frosted.
Man, they came dangerously close to that. Remember when Captain Britain voiced his opinions on Brexit in that one issue? Oof.
Well, remember when Captain Britain was that one Muslim woman?
Yes, I do. Actually, remember that very clearly. It was insulting and frustrating. Well, speaking of British people going insane and saying stupid things, let's talk about Alan Moore. That's what we call a smooth segue.
Going insane. Yeah, let's run with that.
The headline of this is great. Alan Moore announces he'll be voting for the first time in over 40 years for Labour and Jeremy Corbyn. Wow.
Wait a minute, how old is this?
November 20th, 2019.
Huh.
Why?
Because I remember that same article coming out back when they had their the one when Theresa May stepped down.
Well, apparently he didn't vote, or they're lying and saying, or he lied and said he was going to vote but didn't. I don't know. I mean, let's just take a look at. Like, I've read you the headline, but let's all just soak in the disheveled homelessness, pretend wizard garbage bullshit that is Alan Moore in the present day. Let's just look at this bearded snake cane carrying bundle of sticks worshipping weirdo.
He looks like he smells like pee, as Monkey would say.
Yes, he does. Look at all like the weirdo rune rings that he has on. Like, don't get me wrong, that cane's kind of cool. All right. But if I had a cane like that, I'd have it because it looks cool, not because I think it has magical powers.
Well, that's where you and Alan Moore differ.
Like, I mean, this guy really is a lunatic, chat. He really does buy into all that, like, new age, Wiccan, quasi bullshit magical garbage.
Not Wiccan, he's a hermeticist. He believes in hermetic magic.
That is true. He is a hermeticist. I knew that. You reminded me of that, I should say. You know what hermeticism is? New age fuckery, man. It's a potpourri that pretends to be connected to ancient Egyptian mystery cults, and it's just fuckery, guys.
To be fair, it's 15th century New Age. It's loosely based on Christian metaphysical beliefs. There's a little bit more lore to it than some of the modern nonsense. So at least he's going with something a little more vintage than most.
It is a little more vintage, but let's be honest. The mid-century stuff did pretend to have a connection to ancient Egyptian mystery cults.
Well, yeah. I mean, Aleister Crowley had to market that shit somehow to distinguish everything he stole from Freemasonry.
Well, right. But you know, the god of, Thoth, god of writing and knowledge and mystery and etc., right? And, you know, Hermetics, and Thoth is identified with Hermes and thus Hermeticism, and they're all looking for the Philosopher's Stone. I mean, and then this guy in the New Age and all of the other so-called Hermetic magicians are all calling back to the middle centuries, which we're calling back to the ancient world and all of its fake pretending. And his suit's purple.
And his suit is purple.
Well, just as a further,
Wow.
Put a rubber boot on his head and he's Vermin Supreme.
Yes. So he, by the way, posted on social media this lengthy diatribe, which is Alan Moore, Northampton, November 20th, 2019. And he posts this thing. So our favorite moron, Rich Johnson, just posts it in full. He's just like, I like this guy because he's a commie like I am. You know, and Alan Moore would deny being a commie, but fuck you, you're a commie. I'm an anarchist, he says. No, you're not. No, you're not. Why? Because let's let the single paragraph. He writes for 4 paragraphs. I'm not going to pain you with it. Let's just read this moron's first paragraph of bullshit. Okay. As an anarchist, I don't vote, preferring direct political action and comment without an elected intermediary. If I did vote, however, I would try and vote with the way that viable human history appeared to be going rather than against it. The economic and political agendas imposed in the West over the last 30 or 40 years clearly lead only to a ruined environment, to international austerity, while the planet's billionaires attempt to become trillionaires, to Donald Trump, and to a horrific abyss that threatens to make the English Civil War look like a Sunday school outing. That scenario, in any sane person's reading of the situation, is not an option. If figures like Jeremy Corbyn, a fucking commie, are emerging to propose a far more humane and workable direction for society, and if such figures are garnering enormous support from the electorate that's been denied a voice for far too long, then it may be this is because people like Corbyn have become historically necessary. Like, fuck off, Magic Boy. Don't you have some fucking lunar water to make a ritual with?
Maybe he should eat some of that magic.
Importing water from the moon is expensive.
Well, see, quiz. If you had been on Noir Bar the other night or had watched it, and I know you didn't, it's fine. I get it. You would have known that we read out the WikiHow article on how to make both solar and lunar water for all of your Wiccan ritual needs.
Oh, God. It's a good thing I didn't, because that would have pissed me off.
It was pretty awesome,
yeah,
honestly.
It would have.
You know, well, there's separate water that's needed for lunar and solar rituals, quiz. You can't just use any old water, you know.
Yeah, you gotta leave the lunar water out for hobos to drink out of and give you hepatitis.
I thought it was a possum you were afraid of drinking out of it and giving you, what was it?
Giardia.
Giardia, that's right.
Yeah, that's the diarrheas.
And there are some great shitposty comments under this. Corbyn now has the key anarchist wizard support to defeat Boris.
It's good to know that the graduates of Hogwarts are behind him, I guess.
Right? Like, it's like, oh wow, he's Labor are not liberals. We're socialists. Well, thank you for just saying it out loud. And then this person, good news, as any anti-Tory vote, I'll be voting SNP myself. Guys, this is what happens when comic creators, even people as deranged as Alan Moore, begin to see themselves as voices in politics. Like, guys, fuck off. Your friend that makes web comics has as valid of an opinion as Alan Moore does. You understand what I mean? Your friend who simply reads comics has as valid of an opinion on current politics as Alan Moore does. Possibly more. I mean, is your friend walking around with a fucking snake cane thinking it's magical? Would you listen to somebody who did that? Would you take their opinion seriously? If they were using lunar water to bathe themselves in for weirdo rituals in front of bundles of sticks they worship?
Well, you don't know the kind of people that live in Chicago, Polly.
Yeah, that's mega country.
This is what's wrong with social media in this particular case. It's really... It's exposed how really weird and strange some of the comic creators are, and they should really stick to making comics. I know it always comes back to that statement, right? Oh, what is it? Shut up and dribble, is that it? Well,
yes.
Yeah.
Do your fucking job and stop bothering us with your nonsense.
Yeah. Like, it's like, well, don't they have a right to speak their opinion? Yes. And that's a nonsensical point because I just use my right to speak to say how full of shit they are. Let's move on. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, who cares that Alan Moore Watchmen is a great comic series? I'm a huge fan. We've talked about it repeatedly, right? The Killing Joke is a great comic. It's brilliant. It's inspired. Well done, Alan Moore. Oh, well, here's my opinions on magic and how the world works and Donald Trump. Shut up. Just because you wrote great comics doesn't mean that you have a valid opinion on politics, jackass.
That's why we're not involved in politics. It's why movie stars shouldn't be involved in politics. Just talk. If you want to do public statements, talk about what your craft. If you want to talk about politics, do that with your friends.
Yeah. I love this post sums it up because it's kind of just mean and straightforward as opposed to being shit posty, but it does sum it up nicely. It's nice to do things to make yourself seem relevant again. I think it's been 40 years since you wrote a successful comic. I'm kidding, but only a bit. Ouch. Yeah, because
that's a bit harsh.
Yeah,
not wrong.
Do you see what I mean? It's like, yeah, it has been a long time since you wrote anything successful, hasn't it? Your weirdo porn comic for tantric sex that you wrote with your weirdo wife, and whatever, man. Start writing normal stuff again, adventuresome stuff, interesting stuff, psychological stuff. That's where your keys are at. The man behind V for Vendetta is telling us how to live our lives. Really?
To be fair, V for Vendetta is a cultural statement in the exact opposite way of what he's now voting for Jeremy Corbyn.
Actually, I just closed the article, so I can't say it, but UQuiz being such a memorably strong opposer of the George W. Bush administration, Moore's complaint was that V for Vendetta, this is what it is, and you're right, what he's saying now kind of stands in opposition to what the graphic novel was in and around and talking about, right? And he hated the movie because he viewed it as an American, quote, liberal wet dream in opposition to the George W. Bush administration. That's what they turned the movie based on his comic series into. Really? So in later in his quote, he invokes V for Vendetta to support now what he's currently saying. So how is that not bastardizing your work the way you claim that the movie did?
It's okay when he does it.
Panels straight out of a goddamn comic and dialogue. What?
I don't really, you know what? I really think that we should not be looking for consistent thought from Alan Moore. Like, I really think he is a little bit detached. I know I'd say he's nuts, but he could just be a weirdo who's into magic. But I think he's legit detached, and we shouldn't be looking for consistency. He might actually think one thing and believe it, and the next week think something contradictory and believe it as well. You know?
I guess.
I think he's just past his prime, and he's still hungry for attention that he used to get 20 years ago.
Yeah. That's unfortunately my read on it as well. Well, let's move on to some we did that article. Let's talk about somebody who's not past their prime and more awesome than ever. Frank Miller. I'm not biased at all. Really, I'm not. Like, Quiz, look at this picture of him. Doesn't he look better than the last time we saw him? I was talking about this with Jack.
The picture's not even up yet. He's like, no.
Like, admittedly, he looks way past his age, and that's part of what Jack and I were saying. It's like, yeah, he really did a number on himself. But Jesus Christ, he's walking and talking normally. Like, good job stopping from drinking, man. You were clearly killing yourself. Fucking hell. Comics legend Frank Miller claims ex-wife stole rough sketches. Sues her. Hell yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Fuck that cunt.
Lynn Varley apparently stole some original sketches, including covers that were to be covers for the original 4 issues of The Dark Knight Returns, Miller's legendary comic series, for those who don't know. And it's like, can you imagine how much those are worth? And got busted through her agent trying to sell them on the black dealers market. Well,
yeah, those are, even though modern readers probably aren't as into it as like our generations would be, they would still be worth a considerable amount of money because a lot of it's unused art.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like this was supposed to be the cover for issue number 3, like that kind of thing, right? And all of
Yeah.
those covers have become legendary. They've been reprinted on posters, t-shirts, parodies of them done. The list goes on and on. And here's the until now unknown original version of one of the covers that Frank Miller sketched up. And his bitch ex-wife stole it among a bunch of other original pieces of art from that series and is trying to sell them unnoticed and got busted. Fucking bitch, huh?
Yeah, it's fucking awful. She's probably already sold some of them, so
That's the rumor, that her agent
Yeah.
actually successfully sold off some of them already. And Miller sees some of these pieces, including that cover I'm talking about, on social media. And he's like, wait a minute.
yeah, how does anyone know about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, sadly, it's going to be a real challenge to get that stuff back because, it's just the way it is. But it's awful because, with an artist like that, they're a little scatterbrained sometimes, and stuff gets put in storage. And then when you get divorced, your wife goes to the storage unit and just sneaks them out, and you'll never know. And there's a big underground market, for art, whether it's comic
Original.
book art or paintings that
Original art, and it's
Yeah.
not really all that underground.
Well,
It's-
no, but I mean for the illicit trade, because like there is a black market for art.
Yeah.
It's widely known throughout the world that there is an underground market for that. So it might not even be a comic fan that bought this stuff. It could have just been somebody looking to invest.
Yeah.
Yeah. The idea of, like, for those of you who don't know, Lynn Varley is a fair colorist in her own right. Oh, that reminds me. She's a fair colorist in her own right, and they were married, her and Frank Miller, for like some 20 years, and then they ended up getting divorced. And as the story says here, Lynn Varley, an award-winning comic book colorist who collaborated with Miller on many of his early works, is allegedly hiding preliminary sketches she squirreled away before the couple's divorce. Miller claims in his Manhattan Supreme Court lawsuit. Like, that's some serious level conniving. Like, she knows the divorce is coming. So they shared a studio together where they did all the work, right? She was the colorist on Dark Knight Returns and on 300 and on the colored versions of Sin City and on Ronin. All of those classic Miller works, she was the colorist on all of them and did really good work, in my opinion. Dark Knight Strikes Again is another story, but
I've read worse.
I'll say I actually snubbed Dark Knight Strikes Again at Half Price Books yesterday.
What do you mean you snubbed it?
I saw it there for $10 and decided to buy something else.
Well, as a collected edition or the original 3?
Collected edition.
Oh,
that's because
really?
you're a monster.
Yeah, you should have grabbed it, man. That's a pretty good deal for the collected edition. Why not? Fuck, that was a bad move.
Because I would rather read a comic about Dracula.
Well, yeah, okay. So what's Dark Knight Strikes Again? I had totally forgotten about this, and I showed some of these images. Did I? No, I didn't. I forgot to on Noir Bar the other night.
Frosted glass and every sketch was of a booze bottle.
Well, see, here's the thing. Frank was drinking pretty heavily at this time. And I mean, had been drinking pretty heavily for years at that point when he did Dark Knight 2, The Dark Knight Strikes Again. So he decided to go with a, quote, experimental art style.
I was looking through it.
And Lynn Varley, the colorist who had been a brush colorist up until then, just found out about this thing called Adobe Photoshop. Oh no. And she decided, since Frank was going full experimental, so would she. The story, in my opinion, is actually really good. It's a really good follow-up to Dark Knight Returns. But the art and the color are, wow, guys. I will just, I have some sample images here for you to see.
The word dated comes to mind.
Especially with the coloring, yes, but the art style is like, wow, Chad.
Right.
This is going to blow your guys' mind. Like,
the art is terrible. It really is.
Yeah, it is. It really. I
Go
can't.
ahead, defend it.
I can't
Defend
defend
it,
it. No,
Polly.
I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. It was a mistakes were made.
Well, look, the art has a very interesting look to it, but I've seen a lot worse from Marvel in the last few years.
Well, okay.
So have I. He was.
That's like comparing the guy who has massive head trauma to the 6-year-old picking up their paintbrushes. It's
Okay, and already
completely different.
I mean, Quiz, you should really bring up the screen so you know what we're laughing at.
Oh no,
and it's
I'm
just,
looking at it.
okay. And Jack Gutsky starts off with, "Wow, that's horrific, man. This is one of the better ones."
Yeah.
It's not his best work by any stretch.
But
yeah, no, it's awful. I actually sat there and read through some of it. The one bit that I like, because there's a whole bit in the like middle end where they have the Justice League in it. I was mainly because I saw a couple of pages with the Green Arrow, so I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'll read a little bit of that." Green Arrow looks fine. Everyone else looks like they have Down syndrome.
well, see, here's the thing. Like, it's
Looks like
you got Frosted Glass saying "Holy '90s Batman" and PG agreeing with them. Yeah, well, unfortunately, this was from 2001. So
I get it, man. As an artist, he wants to try different things
Yeah.
and see what works and what doesn't. And he clearly understood that this was not his best.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he's talked about it. Like he said, I wanted to do something experimental. This is after Sin City. And as the running joke, it's like Frank Miller drew Sin City and never stopped. You know?
Yeah.
And so there's so many similarities between, this is an attempt to do something experimental with Dark Knight Part 2 in the Sin City style, but wild. Like going really wild. So hold on, let's take a look at the next image. The reason I pulled.
Hey, chat. Do you know why I don't like Frank Miller now? I don't like Sin City. I don't like Sin City.
Oh, Sin City's awesome. So this is
a terrible book.
Look at the coloring job on it. Like this is somebody who just discovered Photoshop. Look at the clouds. Look at the thrusters in the back of the Batwing here. It's basic gradient and difference cloud effects because Lynn Varley had just discovered Photoshop. And
and this image works perfectly with what Frost had said. By far the worst thing to happen in 2001.
See, this is a more salvageable image from it, but I picked 3 like big splash pages in a row. These are both double pages that have been bonded together in a pretty bad scan because you can see the seam in the middle, which shouldn't be there in a good scan, but whatever. But you definitely see the Sin City influence in the way that the body proportions are drawn. I love this one so much because here's Brainiac, and because he's a robot, he's an artificial life form. She decides to just go with digital pixels for his eyes. Like that's what you did as a colorist. That was your contribution to this work, Lynn Varley. Holy fuck. And look at like the shitty shadow jobs done on, these are just basic gradient tools in Photoshop. She's talented with a brush. You should have stuck with the brush and fuck the digital. I mean.
Yeah, that frog thing looks so bad. No, I think Ryan Walters is onto something here. He's like, what if I drew like utter crap?
It's.
Welcome to Frank Miller.
Okay, look at this page. Jesus fucking Christ. Like
dude,
like
so much hate in your heart.
It's like, Frank, what did this take you, man? 6 minutes to draw? Maybe. Lynn Varley, how long did you spend in Photoshop on this? The 2 giant fills, just basic crimson color fills for the eye beams, and then fucked around with some filters and some gradients for.
Now, to be fair, back in the early 2000s, this would have been a lot more time consuming because it wasn't as refined of a program.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know anything about what
that
Photoshop.
Doesn't make it any better.
Yeah, maybe Photoshop was really hard to use at that time. I've never seen that early of a version of it. So and then here's the like, Jesus Christ, Lynn Varley, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's just lazy. It just looks. Have you guys ever read Vector from Now Comics?
No.
It was one of the first computer generated books, and there was another one called Digital Justice. It was a Batman book
I've read
that was
that.
all done.
I've read
computer
Digital
graphics.
Justice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this looks like. It's a massive artifact of its time.
Yeah. I like
The story of Digital Justice was bad. Same with Vector, but and Scatter was another one. They were very, very dated very quickly.
So the yeah, it stands out as whereas the original Dark Knight Returns is like kind of fucking timeless, if you know what I mean. Like it's classic. Yes, it's dated in the story in the sense of the time period it's written, but it's not dated like cringe like this is. I get what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, this looks primitive and it looks very of its time. Whereas like Dark Knight Returns, the art could hold up a little better over a longer time frame.
Yeah.
So
And then
yeah, and Frosted's right. This does look like art I would see at my dentist office.
I show this one to show that I am not completely a Frank Miller fanboy. I'm aware he's done things that are far from perfect. I love the character of Carrie Kelly. And this is by far the worst drawing of Carrie Kelly I have ever seen in my life. What the fuck, Frank? This is her as Catgirl. And it.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I remember that one.
She just pooped out all those people.
I love it.
It's so bad.
That pose. It's the best.
Like, you know, if I was a fanboy, there's no way I'd let images like this see the light of day on my own show. You know what I mean? But no, Frank fucks up like everyone. For Christ's sake, look at this monstrosity. It's
Ryan, I've seen serial killer notes with more consistency.
like look at the whatever in the background here. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, it's very heavily stylized. Most people are going to hate this. I'm sure there's some pop art weirdo out there that would just love this shit, but I can see why he hid these away and just pretended they didn't exist.
Yeah, it's an idea. It's a failed experiment. Mistakes were made, and he never went back to it. So, you know, it's just too bad it happened on something as notable as Dark Knight 2 that everyone was expecting to be legendary, you know?
At least with some of the stuff, he hid it away and was like, look, that'll be in my biography somewhere down the line. I'll just ignore it.
Yeah.
And then, I get why he's upset about this. This is embarrassing.
So on the very next page, here's another image of Carrie Kelly as Catgirl. And so fucked up image, like drawing by Frank, and fucked up colors by Lynn Varley. Just why? The whole thing, just why? This is when you have a husband and wife team, and they're both being yes men to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I said, this hurts to look at because I think Carrie Kelly is the most underrated Bat family character of all time. I love the character. I think she's fantastic. And this
image is of a comic book cover from Saved by the Bell. You know, like when they have those generic comic books that kids are reading because they're hip or whatever, or the nerd kid, and they have those fake dentist office comic books. This is the type of shit you would see. Something somebody threw together in like 15 minutes, and they're like, "It's a set piece. Don't worry about it."
And you know, for people who had harsh opinions on Holy Terror, Frank Miller's work Holy Terror, that came out not too long after this. And they said that was too experimental of a work and what he was doing. And he was now working with brushes as well as inks and pencils. And it's like, oh, that's all fucked up. Go reread it and tell me if it's as bad as this or if he didn't learn something. Do you know what I mean? Like learn from the mistakes.
Yeah.
And then this image is this is supposed to be an explosion. Frank should have said, no, this does not look like an explosion, Lynn. Go do it again. I know you really like the swirly effects in Photoshop, but I'm sorry, that's awful. Then this is the last picture, guys, but I had to end on this one because this is not, it's supposed to be scary because it's a giant explosion going off that shouldn't have gone off. The two characters in it were caught in it and they could be killed. So that could be an effective image of just having a silhouette outline of the two characters who got caught in an explosion. But this just looks like they're falling into a vortex or something. It's not scary. It's
confusing.
It's really girly.
Yes, it is. Yes. I've seen better comics from a cereal box, Ryan Walters says. Yeah, and when referring to the
Yeah, it's so dated looking.
yeah, Brainiac in the frog form, he says there's something sinister in those honey smacks. It's like, yeah, that's so that's I had forgotten that I had saved these, and I showed some of them on. I was gonna show some of them on Noir Bar, but I had the worst headache the other night and closed the bar early. So, yeah, this all came out when your boy Zach covered that New York Post article about Frank Miller suing Lynn Varley, right? And he grabs images to show some of Lynn Varley's worst work. Like, if you know what I mean. Like, here's some of the stuff she did from Dark Knight Returns. Doesn't it look great? And she stopped being a colorist, and she's gotten right out of the comic books industry. Hasn't done anything in years and years and years. And it's like, why? You were a great colorist, like really talented with the brush, not so much with the digital work. And he brings up examples to show, and I'm like, you didn't show anything from Dark Knight Strikes Again, Zach. What the fuck? That is the most hilariously bad moment in both her and Frank Miller's career. You have to show it. So I did. I went and grabbed a digital copy, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's...
You are all poor for seeing it.
Vol Potato says, so why are you going to stop showing the... Oh, he retracted it. Oh, well. Now I don't know what he was saying there. Oh, well. So let's talk about Star Wars, guys.
He said, why, because he just reposted it. When are you gonna stop showing the draft and show the actual comic?
Oh man. No kidding. It really does look like super rough sketches that somebody did in like 5 seconds, like thumbnail sketches to do layouts and stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
wow,
to be finished work.
There's not a lot of time in between drinking the glass and refilling it.
Yeah. That's what I chalk it up to. Like in my attempt to do apologetics for Frank Miller, it's like he was a sick man. Leave him alone. Mm-hmm. When in reality, it was just really poor creative choices, and everyone knows it. It was just whatever, man. It's just sad that it had to happen on something like Dark Knight 2. But Dark Knight 3, The Master Race, is awesome, and Quiz still hasn't read it because he's weird. I don't know.
I haven't read it either.
Well, you're both weird. What the hell? Why don't you guys want to read it? It's really good.
My Streamlabs link is right there. Thank you, Evolve Potato, for posting.
Because I'm poor. Yeah. No, Dark Knight 3, The Master Race is actually really good. Hey, let me whet your appetite, guys. It's in the Dark Knight universe, right? So like that kind of parallel, not DC canon, right?
I'm not sure if I'm gonna like it because like I liked the first Dark Knight, but there was some revelations last time we were talking about it about it being this different sort of universe where Superman bangs Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I know how Frank Miller handles inter-character sex, and yeah, no, thank you.
But I mean, they were also banging in All-Star Batman and Robin.
You're not helping your case, Polly. That's a terrible book too.
Okay, explain this to me. Why did you go read that? You claim. I don't think you have, but whatever.
Bullshit. I've proven to you that I have.
Furious typing.
Oh no, that's Jack, not me.
Oh, yeah, I'm responding to something.
Oh, I thought that was the furious typing in response, attempting to prove that you've read it. Well, okay, but I mean, that takes place in the Dark Knight universe. I mean, what's the problem with a separate continuity? I mean, that's the whole point of Elseworlds. That's.
I think Frank Miller was trying too much to make it, not an Elseworld for Dark Knight. I mean, you've said it yourself, one of the virtues of it. And don't get me wrong, the first Dark Knight, okay, is great. I will never say anything bad about that book.
Right.
It's absolutely a fantastic book. But I think it works best as a standalone. I don't know, granted, I haven't read the other books, but I don't see how expanding on it especially with something like All-Star Batman and Robin,
Yeah.
is a good thing.
Well,
It didn't need sequels.
but you don't know that. You haven't read Dark Knight 3.
Well, I'm just saying it didn't need them. I didn't say they weren't good.
Oh,
I just said it didn't need them.
well, and I'm not saying like, fuck you, you should like it. I'm saying you should read it because it's actually quality work. Like Frank has clearly cleared up his mind a lot. Like I said, let me whet your appetite on it. It's based largely around the bottle city of Kandor, which is a really cool thing inside the DC universe. And he brings that in a big way.
All I know is that I'm really happy that Frank Miller seems to be getting his life back on track.
Right. And
because he is a creative guy and he does do good work.
And the reason I mentioned Dark Knight 3, because guess what's coming out soon?
Dark Knight 4.
Dark Knight 4.
Well, he's a creative guy when he's not making Sin City.
You really hate Sin City, huh?
I do. I hate that book so much.
Well, let's move on to the stairwares, shall we?
Sure.
Because it's right there in the title.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, let's laugh about something else really quick, shall we? Look at this. Okay. Failed Ghostbusters 2016 director Paul Feig weighs in on Charlie's Angels box office failure. Really? Really? Like, I just want to laugh at Charlie's Angels failing as badly as it did. Yeah. Get woke, go broke. Fuck you. You guys made $8 million on the opening weekend, $52 million budget. You're morons. Good.
Yes.
You deserve it. Good.
I went and saw the Drew Barrymore one in the theater years ago.
Oh, God, why?
Because I was on a date and I was hoping to get some.
Well, I mean, at least you had Lucy Liu, so.
Yeah, Lucy Liu's hot. That movie was cheesy but fun. Like, it wasn't intended to be taken seriously. I thought it was fucking garbage. But the chick I was seeing it with, she loved it. It wasn't all rah-rah girl power like this mess. It was actually meant to be kind of like campy, fun, like this TV series was.
Right.
Yeah.
So they were trying to recapture that, and it worked. Those two movies were pretty big. This was just a slap in the face. All the men are dumb and bungling. Oh, it's fucking tragic.
Well, there's way more stuff to be angry about with that. Did you see the other one? The other article, I think it was from like USA Today or News Weekly or whatever, fucking Entertainment Weekly or something. The director, what's her name? Something Banks. Elizabeth Banks saying men aren't mature enough for feminist cinema.
Yeah.
Well, see, here's the thing. Of Potato says there was a new Charlie's Angels movie. Yes, there was. And the marketing was done towards women, aimed at women specifically. So Of Potato, you're not frequenting, like, I don't know, women's websites, women's magazines, like stuff that is geared, aimed at towards women, because that's where they advertised it. This is the phantom audience thing that we talk about so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, guess what? None of the people that you made this movie for, woke, angry feminist women, which they seem to think is all women, showed up to see your goddamn film because you advertised specifically to women. And what was the result? $8 million on opening weekend, which is just tragically low, man. My God, you guys that's going to end up in the red. There ain't no China going to save you. DVD, Blu-ray sales won't save you. Streaming money won't save you. Like, meaning you're not going to make enough money back on this thing to even cover your costs. So it's actually a bulk or net negative for you. Well done, jackasses. Well done.
I'll say even the self-righteous bitches in Mary Sue, who this would be their bread and butter. They admitted to it themselves in their article they wrote about it, that they didn't go fucking see it.
Yeah. So let me tell you about what one guy wrote on Twitter, and Paul Feig, the director of Ghostbusters 2016. Again, an all-female, woke, angry feminist film that was marketed that way. This is the key thing. It's not like, oh, well, they're not mature enough for feminist cinema. Fuck you. You marketed it that way, asshole. So did they. And they did the same thing with Charlie's Angels. It's going to be a woke feminist fest, and we're going to market it that way. So this guy, somebody named Taylor Owens on Twitter, writes this at Elizabeth Banks, who's the director of Charlie's Angels, as the guys are saying there. I knew when Ford v Ferrari and Midway were out. I guess those are films. I knew Midway, but Ford v Ferrari? I don't.
Yeah,
Ford versus Ferrari, the
Ford
car
versus
movie.
Ferrari.
Ah,
Yeah,
I don't.
it's about it stars Christian Bale and Matt Damon.
Really?
On the
Yeah.
Streamlabs, thank you, No One Nowhere, for the really nice donation. Hashtag Box Fund. Appreciate it, man.
Nice. I knew that those two films were out, but not Charlie's Angels. And like Paul Feig's Ghostbusters, the marketing you did have was to women, perhaps even anti-male. Want men to attend your film? Market to them. Don't exclude them with virtue signaling. That's not terribly mean, in my opinion.
No, not wrong either.
Like, and he's chalking it up to marketing. He didn't even say your woke film. He just said your marketing was targeted towards women and could even be considered anti-male. Do you want men to actually show up? Well, so that's all he said. This is what Paul Feig responds with. I love this. It's great. Anti-male virtue signaling. God, you guys are boring. So a movie starring women has an agenda. A movie starring men is just a movie. We got it. I'm sure Elizabeth Banks is grateful for your mansplaining. Thanks for taking the time to be helpful. Fuck you,
You're welcome.
buddy. Like, yeah, it's that guy was actually trying to be helpful. And look at this douchebag. Look at this fucking moron. This is the guy who's got his finger on the pulse of the market, who knows what they want. Yeah, you know what, movie studios? Keep hiring this guy to make more movies like Ghostbusters. Keep doing it. Keep doing it, because everything he does is going to be a fucking failure. Because he refuses to believe what the market is fucking telling him. No. These ignorant cocksuckers will take what I make and like it. And if you complain, you must be an alt-right troll. Virtue signaling? What is it you're doing if not virtue signaling, Paul Feig? We're trying to be feminist, okay? Yeah, dude, that's signaling a particular ideological perspective and acting like it's super positive what you're doing. That's signaling virtue. That's exactly what they're describing. So keep costing movie studios millions. I'm all for it. I want to see any movie studio and any executive stupid enough to hire Elizabeth Banks or Paul Feig to continue to hire them. Because I want to see you all fired, and I want to see those movie studios collapse in on themselves. So every other studio can look at them and go, wow, making woke films is stupid as fuck. Hiring retarded directors that shoot their mouths off that everyone's an alt-right troll who doesn't like them is dumb.
Maybe we should stop doing that.
Yeah. So I'm not shut up, Paul Feig. I'm keep talking, Paul Feig, and keep hiring this man. More bombs. More fucking Terminator Dark Fates, more fucking Charlie's Angels, and more Ghostbusters. I'm all for it.
You know what's sad is they're not going to figure it out because these studios are fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Or they would have figured it out by now.
I think it takes a long time for them to figure shit out. I mean, and stuff is in development down the pipe, if you will, for a while. Like, stuff that got the funding like 3 years ago is just being wrapped up now, if that makes sense. So it takes a while for it to all, I don't know, play itself out. And for everyone to get fired and for new people to get hired, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, Polly Frosted Glass sent us a very important picture on the Twitters.
On the Twitters? Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me go,
It's very important that you see this.
I'm sensing some sarcasm.
I'm not.
Wow, let me go take a look. Did Evil One asked, didn't Elizabeth Banks do Pitch Perfect? Yes, that's the same director, yes.
Yeah, she's done some stuff that's pretty popular, but she's really gotten very, very SJW the last few years.
She was better as a comedian.
Here, guys,
I mean,
look at this.
Yeah.
That's almost as good as the Jason Momoa sneaking up on Frank Miller. That was one of my favorites.
I love this meme so much. This one of the guys staring at the other girl. It's been used to such great effect, including here. I love it.
It's almost as good as the cat one, where the lady's screaming at the cat at the table.
Mm-hmm.
I love that one. That cat is so adorable.
Remember this one where the guy in the center looking back was Thanos, and Gamora was the girl looking shocked, and it was the Infinity Gem that was replaced. Because for those of you who haven't known, like, he sacrifices Gamora for the sake of the gem. I'm like, man, there were so many good memes around that movie. Holy shit. Remember all the disintegrating memes? I don't feel so good. There was like 1 million of them. It was fun.
I made one for my avatar.
Did you? Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you had your cartoon avatar dissolving.
Did anyone do that with Epstein?
No, why not? Epstein got Hillary snapped him out of existence, right?
Yeah, he could be saying, "Hillary, I don't feel so good."
Oh shit. All right, that oh yeah, we got to talk about Stairwares. Guys, here's the short version.
Ponies.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys. There's a lot of bad omens for this movie. A lot of them.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
There are rumors. What do they call them? Preliminary showings of a film to test audiences. What's the word?
Screenings.
Early test screenings, that kind of thing. There's rumors, who knows if they're true, that people walked out on them. That they're just like, I don't have time for this. Because the film's really, really long. And they walked out at a slow part of the movie at around the 2-hour mark. I
watched Doomcock's video on this to get from the original source of the rumor.
Okay.
And apparently people started to walk out right after the scene where, this is all rumor, can't prove it, where they were sacrificing the Millennium Falcon with the rest of the original cast on it. And people got up and started leaving because they were pissed off.
Good.
But the guys at the door were like, "Oh, you won't get your gift card if you leave now."
For a gift card for what? A free fucking
screening.
A free Porg plushie?
Yeah, well, you get like some kind of gift card for sitting through their screening. It's probably like a $25 Target gift card or something.
Right. Well, I figure it could only be like used for merch at Disney.com or something, you know?
Probably, but only on Star Wars stuff from Last Jedi.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. It's like,
they need to sell it some way.
You don't want your Kylo Ren body pillow? No.
Right. But Doomcock seems to have some pretty good connections because some of the rumors that he's put out there in the past have come true. So I don't know. Somebody might be just messing with him, but I find this kind of believable that they would screw up Star Wars this badly.
Yeah. And let's keep in mind the interview with J.J. Abrams from Monday. This past Monday, guys. Okay. We're still working on the film, and we still have a lot of things to finish up. For Christ's sake, it opens in less than a month. In less than one. It's opening December 20th. You're still working on the film? When are you going to mail it to theaters around the world?
Oh, they don't need to mail it. You can just download it, I'm sure. That's probably how they do it now.
That's a good point. Digital transfer?
Yeah. I would assume they would have to do that because it's way too late to be mailing this shit out to like the Philippines if they want to have it on time.
Are all movie theaters now digital cameras? I didn't know that.
Yes.
A lot of them are. I know the vast majority seem to be.
That's how you get those theaters that play old movies. They get a digital version of the movie in the proper aspect ratio. So you put through the projector. But yeah, they're all digital.
Evil One makes a good point. Maybe they were getting gift cards for Rose Tico action figures.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. The rumor is that apparently Rose Tico's barely in this one, and she's been scrubbed from the toy line for this one.
Well,
no, we don't know because they haven't finished the movie yet.
No, I need my Rose Tico.
I can only imagine that if they ever release every variation of this film, it's going to be like a 10-disc Blu-ray set.
And okay, so you talked about like different endings of the film. Apparently they have a whopping load of them. So they brought back in George Lucas, believe it or not, and that has been confirmed that they really did bring him back in. And so apparently now, this is the rumor again, but fairly solid. There's a Kathleen Kennedy cut. There's 2 J.J. Abrams cuts. There's a George Lucas cut, and there's a Kevin Feige cut.
Yeah, there's as many as up to 8, according to the rumors, between 6 and 8 different cuts of this film.
Like each person sort of overseeing it. And that brought to mind some things like some of the reshoots are what the cuts are. Like, look, the movie doesn't make sense because of like this. We need a fill-in story here. You need to remove this aspect of the film, like these 10 minutes or whatever, where this stuff happens. But if we remove that, there's going to be a big gap in the story of how the people got from here to there. So we need to reshoot some stuff. And that's what makes it the Lucas cut or the whatever cut related to the reshoots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, but that means they're not going to end up using a lot of the reshoot material. Holy fuck, what is the budget on this film at this point?
I'm pretty sure it's 500 million. Because think of how much the special effects have got to be costing.
Yeah.
Because if you set up a scene for a special effect and then you don't use that scene, you still have footage that is set up for a special effect.
I sincerely hope that the George Lucas cut has the Pylo men get cut down by Jar Jar Binks.
Well,
that'd be awesome.
I may actually go see a Stairwares film again.
I think Assassin's right. They're setting Lucas up to be the fall guy and be like, look, we listen to him.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We have an article right here where Kathleen Kennedy talks about it. And speaking of Kathleen Kennedy, as a quick side point, we were talking about this before we went live. Mandalorian is being received really positively over on Disney Plus, right? People are digging it. So what does this tell us? Don't let Kathleen Kennedy be in charge of anything Star Wars. Because she wasn't in charge of Mandalorian. She didn't have editorial control over what was going on there. And it turns out pretty positive. She's had complete editorial control over everything else. And Jesus Christ. She even gave Rian Johnson a 3-picture fucking deal to be writer and director.
It may be fixed.
There we go. It should be back up now. It's streaming data again.
The theater got sad.
And
it looks like it's back.
Okay, the stream status finally says bad again instead of no data.
Finally says bad.
Yeah, okay, chat. Sorry about that. I have no idea what happened there. I could still talk to the guys and they could still hear me, but OBS said that it was streaming 0 kilobytes per second. No idea. That's weird. You know,
you didn't even mention the whistleblower's name.
Yeah. I mean, that stream where I showed pictures of him and his family, they didn't cause any problems. It's a joke. I never did that. Leave me alone, NSA and YouTube.
You're going to have the FTC up your ass because this is all looking like kid stuff now.
Yeah. I mean, I came back to Polly screwing up. Well, that could have been at any time during this stream. I mean,
yeah. So blink twice if you're getting suicided.
So here's this article from Bleeding Fool that nicely summarizes a very confusing article from the Hollywood Reporter. Do YouTube trailer reviews signal doom for the rise of Skywalker? The Hollywood Reporter has released an interesting article about the correlation between YouTube trailer views and box office success on opening weekend. The independent tracking website, blah, blah, blah. So what it comes down to is Stairwares is fucked because just the trailer hasn't been explosively successful. It's not being shared on social media, the link to it. Guys, you've seen the trailer. We talked about it. It's trash in the sense that there's no narrative to it. It's just awesome shots of cool space stuff that does look
space ponies.
Yeah. And I think Iceberg Planet looked pretty fucking cool, but give us some story. And as we were talking,
they showed the iceberg that Star Wars is heading toward. I told you that.
Well, I'll say this, man. At least it's better than the first trailer, which was breaking rule number 1 of trailers, which is don't show a better movie in your shitty movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
Well, 2 minutes of old stuff and 2 seconds of new stuff.
We were talking about that before we went live, right? That the trailer betrays something that people are guessing at, that there's no narrative in the trailer because they didn't have anywhere near a finished film yet, like in terms of structure and story beats and stuff like that. So all they showed were the expensive CGI shots that they knew they were going to use because they look cool and were expensive, so they're going to use them. But there's no anything that Rey's up to or Luke's up to. It just shows flashes of them. You know what I mean? And the Leia and Rey hugging scene, because they had already talked about them using that and they spent a bunch of money on it. So, of course, we're going to use it. But you have no idea what's going to happen in the fucking film. Not really. From the trailer.
No, I think this movie is going to be a way bigger mess than anything that happened in Justice League. This is going to be a disaster, and I think they know that.
Is that your guess? It's going to be just.
I think so.
It's just going to be destructive. Well, we'll see. It's not like Disney has money to burn right now with their acquisitions of every other company on Earth. Am I right?
It's like the gamblers, legend or fable, I guess would be of once you go in, you have to know when to stop. You don't just keep throwing money in.
I think it may be a song, Jack. Yeah.
Yes, sort of a gambler song,
Yeah.
like something that a National Treasure would put out, like Kenny Rogers.
Yeah.
You know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and
Know
maybe
when-
know when
know
to run.
Yeah.
So they should have ran like a motherfucker away from this card table. They should have just left it at Last Jedi and been like, look, we're fucked. We're going to hire a bunch of consultants, take an extra year, and work it out.
Yeah.
Some consultants. Well, speaking of consultants and possibly setting up George Lucas to take the fall, let's see. Kathleen Kennedy explains why George Lucas expressed dissatisfaction with Star Wars The Force Awakens. This is telling to me because they originally, with JJ, her, and Lucas, before Force Awakens years ago came out, they sat down and hashed out storylines. He said, here's my ideas for a sequel to Return of the Jedi. Here's where I would go with it and where I want to go with it. They ended up accepting none of his ideas and saying, thanks, George, go away. And he ultimately was dissatisfied with The Force Awakens. Well, I think what Jack said is true. It's like, he never liked any of the ideas, but we brought him back for Rise of Skywalker. We accepted his ideas and the movie crashed. It's his fault. Hire me again for a multi-billion-dollar contract. I'm Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't my idea. Somebody in chat said it, and I was assassin.
But that's the rumor out there. Lots of people are saying that. I've heard.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. They will do anything to avoid responsibility for the travesty they've done with Star Wars, because they've fucked up every single project.
Well, that's social commentary, on just how far too many people are nowadays. They'll do everything in their power to avoid responsibility. No one has any integrity anymore.
Oh no, not at all. And I'm pretty sure that somebody online said this, and I happened to catch it. I think when Bob Iger retires from Disney, Kathleen Kennedy will quietly exit as well, probably with a couple $1 million in golden parachute.
Couple,
but well, whatever.
Her 3-year contract extension was worth dozens upon dozens of millions of dollars for 3 fucking years.
Whatever they pay her out, they're gonna buy her out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then she'll leave with him at the risk of getting fired by the new guy, because Disney is gonna be fucked if this movie bombs. They have too much money invested in it, and they're owing too much money because of all the leveraging they did to buy Fox. I think this really could hurt them. They're never going away. They own too many IPs, but it will hurt them, and it's a waste of money to have bought a franchise that you're just going to turn into poop.
Yeah, especially a $1.2 billion franchise, you morons. Look how much you paid for it.
Yeah, what'd they pay, $4 billion?
Yeah, and just for the. I don't even want to talk about the fucking like it was like $1 billion for this part, $500 million for this part, and then it came collectively to that large amount. But just the ability to make new movies alone was over $1 billion.
They're not selling new toys. Kids don't want to buy them. They don't care about these movies. The adults stopped buying them.
And I believe the blame that they killed Toys R Us. Toys R Us was suffering, and Disney Star Wars toys killed it.
I could believe that.
Yeah, because they had a whole I went to the clearance of the one over by us, and they had a whole section of the store. I'm talking like a quarter of the store dedicated just to Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they had exclusives like crazy. They could only be
Yeah.
gotten at Toys R Us. Toys R Us bought in. And why wouldn't you? It's Star Wars toys. Look what Star Wars toys from Kenner did for George Lucas. It turned him into like more money than God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Star Wars toys in the 80s were a solid bankable thing you could sell in a heartbeat. So
Wow. Functional says Kathleen Kennedy looks like a non-passing trans Jack Lemmon. Jesus. That I like
She
Jack.
is an ugly woman,
I like
to
Jack
say.
Lemmon, and that was fucking mean.
She is an ugly woman.
Yeah,
I'm
she
not gonna
really
lie.
is. So let's read her opinion, because Bob Iger just recently came out with his book, right? And this is what he had to say in his book about George Lucas. George immediately got upset as they began to describe the plot, and it dawned on him that we weren't using one of the stories he submitted during the negotiations. The truth is, Kathy, J.J. Allen, and I had discussed the direction in which the saga should go, and we all agreed it wasn't what George had outlined. George knew we weren't contractually bound to anything, but he thought that our buying the story treatments was a tacit promise that we would follow them, and then he was disappointed that his story was being discarded. Well, you people are morons. Well, we know better how to, we're the House of Mouse. Fuck yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, really? Because I think it's going to like end up like disgracing and embarrassing you all. At least there's a bunch of omens that might be the case. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy, you do not have a very positive name outside your small circle of billionaire Hollywood friends. Like your name is trash amongst a fuck ton of people. You're not Steven Spielberg. That guy's very positively thought of by a fuck ton of people, and you worked for him forever, and that's how she envisions herself. I'm like big as Steven Spielberg ever was. I'm even bigger than he was. It's like, yeah, Steven Spielberg isn't like universally hated outside his circle of friends. That's a big difference there, Kathy. Kathleen Kennedy responds by first detailing her 35-year relationship with Lucas. No one cares. She then explains that Star Wars was hard for Lucas to let go because it was fundamental to who he is. Yeah, no kidding. She then details that George was reacting to J.J. Abrams making a Star Wars on his own. And J.J. came into it with such enthusiasm and, frankly, reverence for Star Wars and for George. He just decided not to pay any attention to anything he had to say and fuck with the story and recreate George's own film from 1977 and call it his own. I made this, the movie. Anyway. He had to find what was personal for him. He had to make it his own. Every director who comes into him, blah, blah, blah. Fuck, you're such a Hollywood say-nothing person. That's why I skipped over, she explains her 35-year relationship. No one fucking cares, woman. And then she explains that it was hard for George Lucas to let go. I think it was like blah, 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 blah.
No, I get why
I
get why he was upset. That there's a lot to be upset about because they took his pride and joy, what made his career, and they shit all over it.
I just get angry listening to Hollywood people like this. It's not because she's a woman, and it's not because she's Kathleen Kennedy. I got equally as angry listening to that guy, the talking shill from talk about the Marvel podcast, Marvel's stories. I read that, his description, like, what the fuck? That was just gobbledygook of promotional talk. It didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And that's what happens every time Kathleen Kennedy opens her mouth. She sounds just like that guy. Everything's super positive, and it's empty and hollow and sounds like it,
Yeah, these people aren't creative people is the problem. They're corporate shills. They don't understand. I don't think they understood Star Wars at all.
I think there's a problem, a fundamental problem that was not helped by the advancement of the movie industry, where producers actually had a say in what was going on in the movie. You're there to make sure everyone has their coffee in the morning, the film or the cameras have reels of film, and to make sure that everything is proceeding as scheduled. You're not a creative person as a producer. You're not.
Well, the Force is female.
That's true. Yeah. Midichlorians are female. You've all heard it here. Every single one of your cells is female.
What?
Midichlorian.
Oh, okay, I get your connection. I mean, but I get the feeling that Kathleen Kennedy, that the type of direction that she gives is incredibly vague and general. Like the Force seems like a more feminine power to me, and J.J. Abrams is like, right, and is expected to go do something with that. You know, it's like, I think it's important for young women to see someone they can look up to in film. Like, Star Wars isn't really just for boys. And J.J. Abrams is like, right, and is required to go make something of that. I think her direction is really vague and generalized. It's a guess, but when you hear her talk in interviews, everything she says is incredibly vague and generalized. I think that's the kind of direction she gives to her directors and other producers.
Probably, but
Yeah.
I mean, would anyone be surprised? But this is just such trash that it's. I don't know. I think they're gonna fuck this up even worse than Last Jedi. There's too many people involved in it and sticking their fingers in the pie. There's no way that it's gonna come out to be even remotely good. I'm telling you, this is gonna be worse than Justice League. And I thought Justice League had potential if they had aimed it at kids.
Yeah, but the DC, movies, they were trying to go for the phantom audience of the edgy teenager.
Yeah.
Newsflash, dude. Only so much angst exists in the world, Schneider.
Yeah.
You know?
And look what they did with Aquaman. You could let like a 10-year-old watch that and not have a problem. There wasn't any swearing. It was a little edgy, but that's it. Otherwise, it was just a action movie.
Mhm.
If they had done that with Justice League, it would have been a much bigger hit, even with the bad CGI. And I think this movie is going to really blow out John Carter for being like one of the most expensive bombs in history.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, I think so. Because they've got so much money in this with all the reshoots. I mean, they're still reshooting stuff and trying to fix plot holes.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like there were 6 different movies they made of this same film. And now it's going to be this patchwork monster. They had to have spent $500 million on this movie. They had to have. I would wager money on that if I had any, which I don't. Because I think that it's taking so much. They have all this crunch time where the special effects crews are going to have to work double time to get stuff done and get it out, plus marketing. With all of that and all the constant like test screenings and stuff like that, that all costs a lot of money.
Goddamn right.
There's no way they're getting out of this for less than 200 million. And I would wager with worldwide marketing and all the other shit, going out to different sets to have to reshoot stuff. Yeah, flying out to the desert somewhere to go reshoot something you shot 6 months ago, but now it's slightly different. They're going to bury how much this costs, but it's going to be a ridiculous amount of money.
Well,
that's just my take on it.
No, Vol Potato says give Jack money to wager. Jack does not gamble. Give it to Polly. I'm the gambling man.
Yeah, I'll just hoard it and buy food with it.
I was gonna say, but see, Jack apparently knows the fundamentals that Polly doesn't, because Jack knows when to hold them and when to fold them.
And when to walk away.
And when to run.
That's right.
I'll
run with all your money.
The time to run.
I won. I quit. Bye, guys.
The time to run. The time to run is immediately after you've won some money. Got it. Okay. You know,
I'm up $30. I'm out.
Keep in mind that this is reasoning coming from Kenny Rogers, the guy who like destroyed his face with plastic surgery. This guy didn't know when to walk away.
Kenny Rogers is a national treasure. I will not have you bad mouthing him or his rotisserie chicken.
Well, let me tell you something. Right now, if you run into Kenny Rogers in the street, you're not going to recognize him, save the fact that he looks like a Punisher villain Jigsaw. But that's not.
I saw him at the state fair a few years back.
Really? He was playing a state fair?
Yeah.
Was it like a big stage, or was it like really sad that he was there?
Oh, no, it was a reasonably sized stage.
Okay, cool.
Good turnout.
No, I had a
good time.
Rock bands play state fairs. That's cool. Like I just got an image of him, like like Artist Alley at comic book conventions, where he's like just sitting there signing autographs. Sad little Kenny.
Sad lonely man singing to like 10 people that are like, "Sing, dance for us."
I think it's incredibly telling here when Polly just said rock bands play country fairs. So name me a rapist that's gonna play a country fair, Polly.
Oh, it's gonna happen. Pathetic old hip hop artists that are still up there talking about how they're gangsters. It's inevitable. Look at Method Man still trying to be fucking relevant by moving into alt media. You know, come on.
Yeah.
It's inevitable that these guys are gonna be playing state fairs for sure. I remember that Futurama episode where it's like doing a classical gangster rap track. I guess in the future that's classical. I love it. Let's move on to pitches, gentlemen. Let's wrap this fucker up. I actually really got to get going right now, so I got to make a phone call. I know that doesn't make much sense, but
And what he means by that is take a poop.
no, I actually don't have to take a poop. I have to make a phone call, and somebody's going to be going to bed soon, and they won't be there to answer my call if I make it. And it's important because they have to be there for me to pick something up in the morning.
Is this a drug deal?
No.
Oh, well, you're being vague.
Well, research materials, if you must know.
Oh, okay.
And say I'm gonna have to go camera for mine because couldn't find a digital copy of it.
All right, who wants to go first? I can go first. I'm set up. Doesn't matter. What do you guys think?
Give me a few seconds and I can go.
All right.
Yeah, I'll find the damn file pulled.
Well, I can't wait to see Eminem playing the Illy Cooch Renaissance Fair. Well, and it's not artists like that that'll end up playing them. It's like the sad artists that were like one hit wonders. You know what I mean?
Like Snow.
Yeah, Snow, Fat Boys.
Dude, believe it or not, Snow is really popular in Jamaica.
I could believe it.
Yeah. Like the COD reggae boy here, Informer. Yeah, is fucking popular in Jamaica.
All right.
Weird. All right, today I am going to pitch.
Well, hold on.
Oh,
I guess I should have been getting ready for this, huh? Oops.
yeah, probably.
Well, now I went and got my comic out, so now I'm ready.
All right, there. Hold on, let me focus on Jack there. There you go.
I'm pitching the Batman's Grave, issue 1. This is a 12-part maxi series from DC, obviously, with Warren Ellis and what's his name, Brian Hitch, I think. And it's all about Batman trying to solve a murder that he just kind of stumbles into. He was kind of bored out on patrol, and this 911 call had come in, and it kept getting put on hold and not being responded to. So it was just a welfare check. So he's like, "Yeah, I'll go take care of that." And he ends up finding a dead body, and it's a guy that's obsessed with Batman. He was a loner, lost his job, just started getting his life back together. Like, this guy's life fell apart, and Batman's trying to figure out what happened. It's actually a surprisingly good issue. It was a lot of fun, and he breaks up a mugging. But this guy's obsession with Batman was just sort of this weird thing at first, but there's something more going on. And he uses this cool device here, which is an emulator. He films the room with it and then goes back to the Batcave and creates a 3D simulation of the room to try and get in the killer's head. Kind of like a holodeck sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a really cool take on it. Like, I can't show certain scenes because, dead bodies and whatnot. But the guy's laid out in a suit. It's just a weird kind of story where Batman just kind of blunders into this situation, and it ends up involving him and a crime victim. So it's got a cool detective story to it. And I thought it was a lot of fun because if you've been reading anything about Batman recently, Tom King has been destroying him. This was a return to form where Batman was a masculine, toxic male out doing manly things like solving crimes and kicking ass.
There you go.
I thought it was a good time. I think this is going to be an interesting miniseries. I don't know how they're going to do 12 issues of this, but so far it's a really good start. It's some classic Batman material. So I'm definitely going to recommend this as a Bat book.
And it's not even Black Label or anything, huh?
No.
Huh. All right.
Just good old fashioned ass kicking. So detective stuff, it's good stuff.
And it's a 12-issue maxi series, you said?
Yep.
I've never even heard.
Issue 2 just came out, I think, but I haven't gone to the shop yet.
I haven't heard anything about this. I'm interested.
Yeah, it's Warren Ellis, so it's he's a reasonably solid writer most of the time, and it's better than Tom King, which
Right?
isn't too hard.
You mean he's not complaining about his personal problems? And
Yeah, he's not sitting around talking about his girlfriend doing all the work and being a big whiny crybaby.
all right, Quiz, you want to go? Shall I?
Sure, I can go. I've got to go on camera for this one.
All right. If it freezes the stream, we know whose fault it is.
It's Polly's fault.
Mm.
Epstein did kill himself.
This one is published by IDW, written by Gary Girani, art by Stuart Sager. And all I gotta say, man, this is what I picked up instead of The Dark Knight Returns, and you'll see why, or Dark Knight Strikes Again, and you'll see why. Okay. This is whenever my camera comes on. There we go. This is.
Oh my God!
What?
That was bright and confusing.
Yeah, that just looked like a store.
Oh, here, let me just do this. There we go. That'll probably fix it up.
Yeah, there you go.
Bram Stoker's Death Ship. It's Dracula's voyage to England. So this is what happens when Dracula is moving from Transylvania to England. And I just take a look at the art in this, and I think you'll see why I chose this over Frank Miller.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it
Just
is.
saying. This art is beautiful.
Quit
yeah,
showing us your crotch. We don't want to see your fucking crotch.
This is this is like the story says, the tale of the ship that ferried Dracula and two of his concubines? Yeah, I think it was two of his concubines in their graves down in the holds of the ship when it comes and crash lands in England. This is their voyage from Transylvania and through the Mediterranean up to England. And I have to be a little bit careful here because there is some boobies in this comic, but
there's some boobies.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, man, the art in this is fantastic. It's an expansion into the Dracula mythos while retaining the sanctity of the original novel by Bram Stoker. Yeah, fuck yeah, I would be all over this in a heartbeat.
When did this come out? What year is this again?
This is like I said, it's IDW. It was the publisher. It was published 2010.
Really? I've never heard
Yeah.
anything about this. Fucking IDW. They do some great stuff like this, and then they do weird shit. I want to read this. This looks great.
Yeah. And so if I can find a digital copy, I may send it to you. But yeah, it's Bram Stoker's Death Ship, Dracula's Voyage to England.
It's fucking awesome. What a great horror comic. Freaky monster comic kind of thing. That's
Well, I
great.
was gonna say, remember in the novel, everyone dies on that ship.
Yeah.
Not a soul lives.
Well, spoilers. Okay. My pitch here is comic capture. There we go. The question, number 1. Book 1. And it is DC Black Label. I read this. This is brand new. I'm a fan. And, oh man, this one hurts to pitch. And I'll tell you why. Because Jeff Lemire wrote it and Bill Sienkiewicz did the inks for it. And they're both huge douchebags, those guys.
Yeah.
It's Jeff Lemire is a very talented writer. He did a fantastic run of fucking Moon Knight. And Bill Sienkiewicz has been around forever and a day doing great art. It's just, they're, Orange Man bad types on Twitter. They're huge virtue signalers. They're assholes, these guys. And it sucks to, like, I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense. It sucks to pitch someone who's like such a jerk off on social media. But it's like, hey, separate art from their artists. This is fucking fantastic work. So the question is Vic Sage, and this is kind of like a Vic Sage has always been like, just look at some of this art. It's so I don't know, just classic sketchy style. You can see the pencil runs off the end of everything. It's not clean and finished. I love it. It looks great. So Vic Sage is a guy who, in this particular iteration of the question, he's got his on-screen personality as a like a pundit, I guess. He's a talking head, where moralizer kind of guy. And as the question, he goes out there in the streets and kicks ass. But he's always really dealing with like street level criminals. In this book, it's like what happens when the corruption goes all the way to the top, and the stark morality that the question always has. He always has an absolute sense of right and wrong. This is shit. What's his creator's name? Jack. The guy who got into objectivism so hardcore, Steve Ditko.
Yeah.
This was Steve Ditko's creation, and Steve Ditko's a big objectionist, and part of objectivism is like an absolute moral certainty of what's right and what's wrong. You know what's good and it's always good, that kind of thing. And the question is meant to kind of play that out. So when he visits justice upon some criminal, he absolutely knows that it's right. So he's fucking brutal with laying out his justice. He's not like Batman in that way at all. It's if somebody dies in the course of him doing it, then they die and they deserve to, and there's nothing to feel guilty about, moving on. But what happens when gray starts coming into that is the point of this story. And Jeff Lemire does a really good job with it. When corruption runs right to the top, what do you do? It's a great
Orange Man bad.
right? There actually isn't.
Bad.
Well, Hub City is the location that all of the question stories take place in, and it's not an allegory for, current year Drumpf. It's not. Excuse me, it's not at all. So yeah, I would strongly recommend this. It's a great storyline, and if you don't know the question, you never heard of that character, this is a great way to get into it. Brand new comic, fresh in comic shops this week. So it's available at Comixology for download as well, because it is brand fucking new. So that's my pitch.
The question's a great character.
So there. So that's it. Chat. Thank you for coming by. It was a fun show, man. We went all over the place. We started talking about all kinds of random shit in the middle of this stuff, but it was fun.
Oh, yeah.
Went on longer than we thought, and I've got just enough time to go call my friend before he goes to bed. Cool. Thank you, chat, for coming. Thank you, Evolved Potato, for posting our links in chat. That's always appreciated, man. Jack Quiz, any final thoughts?
Thank you, No One Nowhere, for that donation earlier. That was really nice.
Just be on the lookout for comics. I saw my pitch at a Half Price Books.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a good example of it. Like, yeah, you can the cheap stuff is found at secondhand shops as well as comic book shops. Like, that's why we always try to talk about it. Was it ever put together in a collected edition, which means you can probably find it for cheap in an older edition. You know what I mean? And it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there that's been reprinted. A lot of the True Believer stuff that's only $1. There's a lot of great comics in those. The alternative stuff's really cheap. There's a lot of great books out there that if you just poke around a little bit, you'll find them.
Hell yeah.
So there it is. Thank you for coming, everybody, and we will see you next week around this time. And if you haven't, I'm going to take the opportunity. You can only watch Blade Runner one time during Blade Runner month. That's November 2019 right now. So if you haven't seen it, now's the time to. We will see you all next week. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.